do this.
Okay.
Hey, welcome to another episode of the Blackout Test Podcast. I'm your host, Rod, joined as always by my co-host. And for those watching live, that's right. It is a late night, but early because we're doing the feedback show a day early.
So we're gonna be too early or too late for somebody.
So, but it's also late night. It's like almost 9 o'clock at night. And the reason is we just have a busy day tomorrow. We have Hornets game we're going to and stuff. Like we got stuff that we're doing that can't wait. We got to be on For All Nerds podcast talking about Game of Thrones, House of Dragon.
Yep.
So we just literally don't have the time tomorrow to do feedback more than likely. So we said, why not, I was just sitting around and said, why not do it now? And Karen was like, yeah. So that's why we here. That's why we late. That's why we early. Of course, look in the show notes. That's how you leave feedback. It'll tell you everything you need to know for how to be part of this episode, the once a week where we read your feedback. The official weapon of the show is
the taser,
and the unofficial sport
football
and bullet ball. Extreme. Let's talk about the people that gave us money though.
Donations.
Okay.
Donations.
We love the donations. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Donations.
That's what it's all about.
Let's donations.
May I have your attention? You are now listening to Charlotte's own Rod and Karen. We welcome the good folks who tied to the Black Diamond Tips.
That's right. New day, new salary. Let's talk about the people that gave us money. Brian B. Thank you so much. Jeff M. Jonathan H. Corey B. J4. Early Daisy Photography. Marvin B. Yes. Marvin B. Nicole F. Michael W. Mako H. Solana S. Chriselle M. Asia D. Annie P. Tom W. Jr. Michael S. Dana R. And that's everybody. Thank you so much for the money. And for those that give on Saturday, we'll just shout you out next week. You know how it is, guys.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So we have to start with our first episode of the week. Oh, wait, no, sorry. We got to start with 5-star reviews. We did get some.
Let's go.
Okay. You'll love to see it. So I don't remember if I read this one last week. I want to say I did, but I'm gonna read it again because I like praise. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So this one says, your fellow 5-star chick with the smiley face emoji.
Oh shit.
My late, and this from Danielle CC, who says, my late comment for Atlanta, Thug Passion was my go-to drink back in the days when I was in these streets. Thug Passion equals Hennessy and Alizé, the red one in particular.
Woo!
Bonus, the Incredible Hulk equal Hennessy and Hypnotic. Shout out to my late 1980s babies, born in the 80s, raised in the 90s. Holla, LOL, Danielle D. Yeah. Listen, I never knew what was in a Thug Passion. And it's kind of like, and it's funny because it's in the song. I just never had it, never was inclined to have it.
I never had it. That or the Incredible Hulk. I heard about him, but I was like, I don't think I want to know.
I've had Incredible Hulk, but it was made by the football team, and I'm not even sure that they used that recipe. I think
they just mixed whatever the hell they had on site.
They had some different shit up there in the football team. And one year I had the Rottweiler, which I don't know what was in that shit either. I imagine some.
Ooh, see that shit you do when you young. Somebody say, "Here's a Rottweiler." You go cool.
Yeah, the Rottweiler with 2 T's.
Oh, Rot. I thought you meant rock. Oh, no, Rot.
No, Rottweiler. That's what the dog is called. It's not Rock. But yeah, the Rottweiler.
Well, I guess I'm fucking it up like all the black people because that's what my family call that bitch.
So yeah, I didn't know what was in it, but I just imagined some amalgamation of just cheap Negro liquids with sugar. Mad Dog and all this shit.
Yeah, anything that was $5.99 and under.
Yeah, it was very strong. It had like a very sweet, like kind of undercurrent but the alcohol was bad. But yeah, so I just remember that concoction, and I drank it and blanked out some of that night and got kicked out of the out of the comedy show.
I remember you telling me about that.
So,
You say because y'all acted a motherfucking fool.
yeah, it was a lot. Anyway, let's go to the next one. It's been a while, but I still stand by this review. Awesome philosophers with a side of ratchet. This is from CJ Freak, who updated their review.
Yay!
Rod and Karen have grown to be consistent in being all things. So this review is May 4th, 2017. And since then, the world has changed. Rod and Karen have grown to be consistent in being all the things that I originally posted. I'm grateful to be able to witness this journey and so happy for the success you two have earned and you two keeping it real. Also, sorry it took me this long to add to your happiness. This is by far the most insightful, enlightening, entertaining, and beautifully human podcast by two of the greatest philosophers of the 21st century. Wow. High praise. They are a lifeline. They are a lifeline in these bizarrely sad times. And the podcasts they provide are priceless. I'm glad to have Karen and Rod in my life. Love you too. Thank you.
Thank you. I
Very
feel so
nice.
loved.
Very nice of you. And all those things you said are the things I want our podcast to be and to give to people. And I think especially the part about being human and thoughtful and all that stuff. That's what we try to do. We don't try to we're not trying to be the most anything podcast, you know. Gotta listen. This is from Plumpest Nugget, who says, my husband started listening to Rod and Karen years ago. I started listening with the House of Dragon episodes. I always crack up and relate to their viewpoints. Now, after we watch a couple of House of the Dragon, I always say, I can't wait to hear what Rod and Karen say about this. I came for the recast, but now I listen to every podcast during housework.
Oh, we feel so loved.
Thank you. And that's, honestly, the highest hope we had for even covering this stuff is because, a TV show like this is only going to be on 10 weeks of the next 2 to 3 years, possibly. But we're going to be here 4 to 5 times a week, most weeks of every year. And so you kind of hope that people were going to go, hey, I think I'm gonna stick around. Yeah,
we feel like this. We caught some of them the first time. I think we're gonna catch some of them this time too.
Yeah. Funny, smart, and the real deal. This is from Pink Superhero. It says Rod and Karen are so sharp and funny that I look forward to all episodes. Thank you, Pink Superhero. You are missing out, says Comma 88. Rod and Karen are the GOAT. Don't believe me? Listen to an episode. Solid guest. Hilarious recaps, movie reviews, political commentary, and guest the race and more. Thank you. And the last one, man, y'all had so many nice reviews this week. The last one is from Zenzi, Ayiyi, I believe is how you pronounce it. It says, a 5-star experience every time. And this is from Nigeria. I'm updating my review because Rod and Karen work so hard to produce amazing content every week, and I have to do my part to share how much I appreciate the podcast and how it keeps me company while I tackle life's challenges. They provide an insightful and hilarious take on world events, and even their movie reviews and TV show recaps leave me gasping for air because they're that good. I recently put my brother onto their House of the Dragon recap, and he instantly became the Blackout Tip stan. Now he's the one asking me if I've listened to the latest episode.
Beat you to the punch.
And we have something new to talk about and bond over. Thank you, Rod and Karen. This is one podcast that I comfortably and willingly recommend to everyone I know, and I have never had any complaints, only converts. I'd give more stars if I could. They deserve it. Oh, thank you.
Thank you. I feel so special, y'all.
We love to bring a family together. Okay. We love it. That's so awesome. All right, let's get into the episodes that we did this week and go to our website to look at comments, and we're gonna look at comments on YouTube, and we're gonna check out Anchor and see what those feedbacks were. So we're gonna get to all that
YouTube,
stuff.
we're gonna be all over the place.
So the first one was our feedback episode. Of course, the first commenter is Appia says, as I learned from Big Pharma result. Oh, the episode was titled Wayne Brady Airport. Appia says, as I learned from Big Pharma results presentations, I see the 30% for Celsius as a big success. Hardly anyone knows how it works in your beautiful country, and still 30% prefer it. Well, first of all, our polls are international, so how dare you? You're leaving comments, meaning that not everybody is from America that's leaving comments and voting in the polls. Secondly, Of course you think 30% is a big success, because 30 degrees Celsius is probably like 190 degrees. So of course you think that's special. I will take a break with the Celsius propaganda for now, but never give up. My mission is to make you love it. Hey, you all right? I didn't Google to see if Celsius was racist because this wasn't the point I wanted to prove. I thought so. I hope Kanye West shout out Celsius next week.
No.
By the way, I'm a rather tall woman between 5'9" and 5'10". So I had the 90s model height, but I wasn't ever as thin, just regular. One time when I came close was when I had practically had a nervous breakdown in law school and I couldn't eat for months. Not recommended.
No, I don't recommend that either.
Yeah, it's wild because of the way that things exist in our society. People will look at someone who's actually going through something that's pretty tumultuous, but if you lose weight, they'll be like, oh, you look good, so everything must be good. And that's a huge part of the problem, is this idea that like, oh, I'm actually having a nervous breakdown and I haven't been able to eat for months, and someone's like, oh girl, you lost weight, well, I need to get like you. You're like, what?
Yeah, a lot of times people lose weight like if they get sick or something like that, and all of a sudden they lose a large amount of weight, and people are like, I wish I could do that, but like, you don't want to be sick to lose it,
right? Like you really don't know what's going on in people's bodies. And the assumptions and the ideals and the aesthetic don't care about people individually.
Oh no.
So it's just, like we micro and macro shit all the time. Speaking of which, the next comment is kind of getting to some of that. So this is from Alice, who says, or maybe it's Alice, who says, Rod, I love you, but your politics around weight discrimination need a lot of work. Taylor Swift was wrong to use the word fat as a pejorative, and I was glad to see she removed it from her video. Now, y'all might remember I talked about how Taylor Swift had a video where she was talking about the negative voice in her head. It's called Anti-Hero. You can watch it. And basically the voice in her head is her insecurities, and it's that voice in your head that's negative and irrational. It's not a rhyme or reason to it. It's not so anything you saw from that voice's perspective and what it was making her feel in there was in the context of the video saying it is wrong and bad and you shouldn't feel this way. So one short scene is she steps on the scale and she looks down at the scale and it says fat, and she didn't attach a weight to it or whatever. And so there were people who, I'm sure think they're in the body positivity movement, they're in the body positivity movement. That's what they call it. And they came at her kind of like the way when Beyonce and Lizzo used the word spaz in their lyrics. But I personally find what they did to be wrong. And I think that they were short-sighted. I am a fat person. I'm not anti-fat people. I don't come on this show and talk about fat people need to lose weight. I'm not some self-hating fat person or any of that stuff. I don't talk about my body on here in negative voices and stuff, but I understand the negative voice. And I think no matter what your body looks like, we all understand the negative voice. And there's a lot of people who look a certain way who still have that negative voice. And sometimes that's the reason they look a certain way. Look what Appia just said. When she was closest to the aesthetic, she was having a nervous breakdown. So people will dismiss folks from the conversation because they're like, look at you look a certain way. And it's like, they're not saying I'm more important than you or whatever. I'm saying this is my struggle, and my struggle is one that has dealt with the society's fat phobia, and it's even gotten to me, a person that you might be looking on the outside thinking I got it together, and I don't.
No, I don't.
So anyway, she writes, how is a thin person's concern that she might be perceived as fat more valid than fat people's concern about actual discrimination they face daily? I just want to note right now, I never said that. And Taylor Swift didn't say that. So I think this is one of the reasons that I'm not with some of the tactics and the things that they do in the body positivity movement is stuff like this. Because you're writing in with the scolding tone, assuming my politics, assuming that because I disagree with the way they handled the Taylor Swift thing, I somehow now am about to, propagate fat phobia on my platform or whatever is kind of, to me, that's kind of ridiculous. But she goes on to say some stuff that I already know. Fat phobia is racist and classist. Ending it would solve not only a lot of problems for fat people, but also Taylor Swift's body image issues. It affects hiring and how much we are paid, how we are treated by the healthcare industry, how we are able to move through the world, and so many other factors. And eating disorders are deadly. For further information, and then she names a bunch of books and tweet, like just throwing a bunch of shit at me, honestly. And if you have, and then the last line is especially off-putting to me, is if you've never dealt with discrimination because of your weight, congratulations. But don't fight the people who are working hard to end it. They are fighting for you. So the good news is I got this on like a Wednesday, and thank God we weren't recording. You know, or maybe I got on like a Wednesday morning or Thursday morning. Because honest to God, this made me so fucking furious. I probably would have just been cussing and yelling and calling people names and shit and telling people to leave me the fuck alone and all that type of stuff. But I've had time to think about it. I actually reached out to this person because I was surprised to see we were Facebook friends, and I was like, this was hurtful and dismissive, and it assumed a lot, and it talked about stuff I didn't say, and it makes me wonder if Taylor Swift is a trigger for this person, if they're part of this movement of the kind of mean girl movement that body positivity has become, which is one of the reasons I don't like it. I don't find it to be very educational. I find it to be scoldy, unwieldy, mean, angsty, harassing, controlling. And so I distance myself from that movement because I don't find it. I've investigated a lot of these names that she brought up in here as like, this is who you should read. I see these people on Twitter and I don't like the way they move. You know, it reminds me a lot of how folks will essentially like, without naming names, there was this person that was scolding celebrities, and then finally one of these on Twitter and starting people like movements against these celebrities and stuff. And one of these celebrities actually like went out with this person and talked to them and tried to like, you know, educate me and shit. And you would think that person would be like, oh, okay, like cool. But it's like the power that went to their head, and now all they do is just harass celebrities, hoping for another bite at the apple, right? And a lot of these movements feel like that to me, where it's like, I am a fat person. I'm not saying that all fat people have to agree, like it's not a monolithic experience, and it's not a monolith situation where we all have to come to the same conclusions, and you need to be in lockstep. But I said a offhanded comment about something that I thought deeply about. So what I mean by that is Taylor Swift was expressing what people in the body positivity movement say is the truth, which is that just is not that fat phobia isn't just a fucking thing that fat people experience. It's a state of mind and a societal systemic issue,
right?
And that it affects all of us. And it doesn't really matter what your body looks like, you still can be a victim of that and of that societal influence. Not saying you necessarily experience, like Taylor Swift wasn't saying I sit down and then someone laughs at me for being fat. She wasn't saying that. She was saying this negative voice in my head is motivated by this. And I think it's a moment of solidarity. But when people assume the worst intentions, many of them, they do it for the clout. They do it for the attention. They assume the worst intentions on purpose so that they can be like, we're going to bring this person to heel. And that's what it felt like they did to Taylor Swift, was like, we're going to bring her to heel. And we're going to, and she, of course, like Beyonce, like Lizzo, being good people who did not intend to hurt anyone, who actually want to be inclusive. She took it out because she's a good person. But these motherfuckers get off on finding the good people and shitting on them. Kind of like Elise did to me. I'm a good person. So the assumption is I'm supposed to back down and be like, well, you know what? She says I'm not good enough. I must need to go read these books, recite these fucking points, and be exactly in lockstep with what these people told me to think. But that's not how life works, you know? And I'm not afraid of being like speaking for myself and having my own boundaries. Some of the stuff that people say I agree with. Some of this shit I find ridiculous. You know, some of the stuff I've seen, for example, I'll just bring up a couple of examples that these I've seen some of the people on this list she named participate in, by the way. But when people get mad at Lizzo for going on a juice cleanse, she didn't say not a fucking word about anything. But they are just as entitled to her body as the people that were mad she wore a thong to the fucking Lakers game. Mm-hmm. That's still unhealthy. This whole podcast, we spend so much time talking about how unhealthy this celebrity culture shit is, you know? And so I find that to be reprehensible. Adele losing weight. They got mad at Adele because she lost weight. She didn't say shit about anybody else but her. It's her body. You know, some of the stuff I've seen people say when someone goes, hey, I went to my doctor and my doctor told me blank, and they're like, fuck your doctor, get rid of them. They fat phobic. You're not responsible for that person's health. You don't know their vitals. You don't know anything about them. We're not those people's doctors, but you'll let these motherfucking internet people tell you some shit because it feels positive, but it's not necessarily positive because it's not informed. It's that toxic positivity that I talk about that I don't like, where it's like, you need to get down with this or shut the fuck up. And I'm like, that's not really positive at all. So that's another thing about it too. I mean, another, I don't even know a number, but another thing, I've been fat in public doing this podcast for damn over a decade. Now I don't come on here and bitch about it or complain about it or spread awareness, but I've seen what people say about my body. Mm-hmm. I've seen the comments on message boards and fucking internet trolls and shit. Like, people are mean. So how fucking dare you? You know, I've talked about playing basketball and the experience I've experienced as a fat person that was in shape. My vitals were fine. My doctor was like my doctors would be kind of surprised, but the point being, like, my shit was coming back fine. It was before the pandemic. Now I still got some work to do now, but before the pandemic, it was like, yo, everything's good. Everything's in a normal, acceptable range, you know. And I'm this fat dude that plays basketball 5 days a week. And I've had people say wild shit to me. I've had people judge me by my body and don't want to play basketball with me or don't want me on their team or assume they can just like fucking light my ass up. And I delight in giving them the business. Love it. It's the best. But it's still a form of discrimination. I've just decided not to be a victim to that shit as far as like, oh my God, I just give up. Life is so hard. It's like, okay, I'm fat. I'm comfortable with that. This is my life and I'm living it. And fuck those people. They don't have nothing. They can't stop me from being myself. But to experience that shit and then have someone write in like, congratulations if you've never experienced it. Nigga, you don't know me. And who do you think you're talking to? Because I would never come at you like that. We don't even come on this show and do that. Like, it's so disrespectful and dismissive. And now because of this like victim level of period shit, it's like I can't say anything back. That's another reason I don't really like this movement, because a lot of this shit is like, if I'm the worst victim, no one else can speak. And it's like, nigga, that's not how any of this works. You know, the same thing happens with colorism a lot of times, where people use their angst about colorism to then just be like, I want to be mad at light-skinned women or light-skinned people. It's normally women. I want to be mad at light-skinned women. And it's like, okay, cool. But some of them actually accept what you're saying and go, I agree with you. You're right. I've had privilege my whole life. And then people get mad that they brought up they had privilege. And I'm like, that can't be part of the equation. Not if we're serious about educating this shit, because then it just sounds like we're serious about getting some type of revenge or flipping the scales to where we get to pick on people. That's stupid to me. It's short-sighted. And that's what it feels like when we come at like a Taylor Swift, or we get mad that Lizzo went on a juice cleanse. To me, that's not about bodily autonomy anymore. It's about, I'm telling you how you must feel. And especially in the context of that video being about her insecurities. Insecurities aren't logical. Insecurities aren't about other people. Your insecurity doesn't say, That's why it's fucked up. The inner voice in your head. And I know everyone has one regardless of how you look. And I'm not just talking about your body, but in some area you have this. Well, you have imposter syndrome, or you feel you're not good enough. I was in fucking therapy talking about my body. How fucking dare you, man? So just because I don't come on here and talk about it every day or perform for people or whatever, it doesn't mean I'm not thinking about it. I'm not reading about it. I just came to a different fucking conclusion, and I'm allowed to do that. I, as a fucking rule, I come on here and don't really talk about my own body, even in a negative way or a funny way. Not because I can't handle it, but because I know people can't handle that shit. And part of it is because this movement to me is so fucking toxic. We don't even allow ourselves to have fun with this shit. I should be able to come on here and be like, oh man, I was fucking, my fat ass had this much food last night, and just laugh it off because it's my body and it's my eating habits, and I want to make that joke. I'm not saying I'm a bad person. And also, fat is not a slur. Like, we're not, like, that's another reason a lot of these online movements, I don't fuck with them. They copy and paste from black movements, but the point is they're not the same. Like, fat isn't the N word. So if she wants to say fat was a thing on the scale, I don't go, oh my God, fat, because I don't just associate being fat with it has to be negative. You know, I'm like, oh, I see what she's saying in the way that society views it, blah, blah, blah. It was that fucking simple to me. And I know that this person that wrote in can understand that. You refuse to understand that, and then you get scolding right into me. And this is honestly the tepid version of what the fuck I was gonna say. Cause like I said, it's not, the goal is not to just come on here and scold everybody. And also the goal of our podcast is not to be the most woke podcast and get all the talking points right. Because a lot of times, to me, the lesson I learned at 44, and I don't know how old this person is, and maybe they'll have this experience, they're assuming I'm going to be the one to learn and I'm going to change my mind on shit. And I'm like, maybe you'll learn. Because one of the lessons I learned is a lot of activism in these lanes is narcissism. It's activism covering narcissism. And a lot of the names that this person named, I've seen them up in spaces where they had no fucking business being. Trying to take up all the energy. And the number one thing they promoting is not their cause, but their name. Selling that book. How many times we got to go through this shit? So I've created boundaries. I've experienced it personally in my personal life. I created boundaries, and I'm warding off that shit. I block it. The good thing is I've never talked any noise about these folks on this show. Not once in my motherfucking life. 2,600 episodes. So what happens when we talk shit about Kevin Samuels and his body shaming? Where were you for that? Where were you when we were talking about people need to leave Lizzo the fuck alone? Where were you for that? Like this, like when I'm talking on the sports show about Zion Williamson and being like, yo, this fat phobia. Where were you for that? At me for that shit. Don't write in and tell me you disappointed. Like, that used to be a trigger for me because I wanted to be a good person and come on, be a good boy. And so it used to bother me when people would be like, I'm disappointed. And I'd be like, oh God, I got to do whatever they say. I don't want anyone to be disappointed in me, especially a woman, especially a black woman. I would never want my sisters to be disappointed in me. But at the end of the day, I have to be me, and I have to be real, and I have to be honest. And I don't want to pander on here. Other people might pander to you. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to just be honest because I'm good enough. And that's what the fuck I learned. That's what the fuck therapy helped me to get to, is I'm good enough, dog. If it's something out there to get better to, I'm getting better every day, and maybe I'll get to that. But as of right now, I'm good fucking enough. I've thought about it, and I don't agree, and I'm allowed to. And please, for the love of God, don't write up here with shit we did not say. That is a big thing for us. We do too many podcasts and talk about too many things every week for y'all to take time out of my fucking life writing about shit I didn't say. If I meant what you wrote, I would have said it. If I think it's okay for fat people to deal with being discriminated at work, I just fucking say it. I'm not afraid. I don't believe that. I've said the opposite of that. It's crazy. This is crazy to me. So yeah, it's offensive and it's hurtful. Like, it's hard to fucking enough being fat in the world and just not apologizing for it. not having to feel bad about the shit, not feeling like you owe somebody your body. It's hard enough. And just because I don't always express that don't mean I don't feel that. But I don't want that to be part of my story as I move through the world, as me trying to take over some level of fat activism I don't even necessarily believe in, because I do think it goes too far. I do think it hunts for problems many times. And if I, honest to God, if it's so bad to see the word fat in a Taylor Swift video, you need bigger problems. Like, that's not, to me, that's not even a real fucking problem. In addition to, that's if she meant it the way you say, where she's just this evil skinny person who's trying to pretend that fat issues are her problem now. Even if she meant it that way, I would be like, yeah, I don't give a fuck. Every day I listen to somebody or something saying something I don't agree with, or being not quite where the level I would want them to be. And you know what the fuck I do? I move the fuck on. Period. I listen to all these podcasts and shit, all this music. I don't expect people to be fucking agreeing with everything that I say and vice versa. But it's just, the one thing we can control is how we talk to each other. And the way you talk to me, the way you wrote up here to me, it feels like there's somebody else you're upset about. There's something else you're mad about, because I didn't say these things. And that's that on that.
Yeah, that's that on that. And like Roger said, and what I'm kind of going to reiterate, our biggest pet peeve, y'all. We actually talk. Y'all hear hundreds, some of y'all thousands of hours of the words that come out of our mouths. Y'all know we're not stupid. Y'all know we're not dumb. Y'all know our thoughts are well thought out. You don't have to agree with them. We're not asking that. And my thing is, we don't mind you writing up here disagreeing with us on things we said. And we can have a back and forth. We've had plenty of fans that have wrote in, but like, Rod, I don't agree with you. This is how I look at it. And Rod be like, well, this is how I look at it. And I'll be like, this is how I look at it. And, and it's cool. But like Roger says, don't write up here about shit we didn't say. And don't write up here about shit you've been arguing with people online all goddamn day. We are not those people.
And this for the record, this is the reason I don't like this movement. Because this is the movement. This is their tactic. You just did it to me. And this isn't even as mean as they can be, but this is the kind of meanness that is associated with a lot of these online movements. And I can understand the underlying point and the sentiment, but I don't like the execution. And I often find that behind the execution are these people who are egomaniacal and narcissistic. And there's been so many fucking people over the years, over the last 10 or 12 years I've seen on social media, who are constantly advocating for a cause, and when you get down to it, the cause is just them.
Right.
That's just all it is. They can masquerade behind every code name and every fucking word and every new lingo, and at the end of the day, the main thing I see is you're selling a product, and the product is yourself. That's it. So I just feel like it's super wild to say you're a fan of the show. You've heard all this other stuff we talked about over the years. You've heard me talk about my own body. You've heard me talk about celebrities and how people feel the ownership of their bodies. You heard me talk about people's fat shaming and all this stuff. And you cherry pick a few comments to be like, well, clearly you need some work. Like, get the fuck out of here. Like, that's crazy to me. So, yeah, but you're entitled to your opinion to feel that way. But like I said, let's just keep it nice then, because that wasn't nice.
Yeah, and words mean things. And like that's my pet peeve. We have a tendency now, because of social media and things like that, people forget that words mean things and tone matters. Online make it sound like tone don't matter. Tone matters. And how you come at people, it really does matter.
I mean, you're saying shit like they're fighting for you. Like I'm fighting against them. Like I've named their names and said, I don't like this shit. The only times I've really talked shit about this movement is when they fuck with people that really shouldn't be fucked with. The end. And I'm not gonna regret that. But I don't come on here and say no shit like, oh, well, this nigga fat, they shouldn't have did that. Or, of course this nigga deserved to be fired. He fat. Like, I don't even do that shit. I even bring up how when people don't like somebody like Jason Whitlock, the first thing they talk about is their body. That was another thing too. Like, in my effort to like calm down, I sent this to a couple of my friends, people I trust, people that would pull my coat if they was like, yeah, people that listen to the show. And it was like, what the fuck is this person talking about? You didn't do that. And I'm like, okay, cool. Cause it was bothering me that someone could even take that from what I said, because I didn't say that. And I'm a pretty fucking clear, concise communicator. Got a lot of hours under the belt.
Yeah, because your biggest thing is that you want to be understood.
Yeah, I don't expect the world not to be fat phobic, and I also don't feel like fighting it every goddamn day. If that's what they gonna be, that's what they gonna be. Some of my favorite people got issues with fat people. They can't help it. I hear it every fucking day.
Yes, sir.
It's just, it is what it is to that extent, and I never applaud them or say, oh yeah, man, that's a great point, man. Being fat is the worst thing on the world, and I love how you talk. It makes me feel great listening to you talk about that shit. And I never come at them about it, because at the end of the day, they gotta figure that shit out on their own. If that's
does.
I'm not writing in scolding them. I'm not yelling at them, because at the end of the day, they gotta figure that shit out. It's a complicated systemic issue. It's worldwide. It's not just some simple shit that's just gonna be easy to figure out. Like, oh, okay, I get it now. And the rules keep changing.
Right.
And then you add in the individual moralization and the celebrity worship and all this shit, it gets stupid. So yeah, good luck to that. I wish those people success if they're really about that life. And hopefully they can find the balance and find the right things. But no, I don't have to think shitting on some celebrity for losing weight is them fighting for me. Or when someone goes on Twitter and says, people that go to the gym, that's fat phobia. Like that's crazy. I don't have to agree with that. The same way I don't have anyway, I don't have to agree. I'm not on here trying to win a contest of the most extreme nigga on the left. I'm being honest and being my human self.
That is not the goal.
Right. Like, it's
somebody else can race to the top for that one.
And Karen had brought up a great point behind the paywall, where she was like, y'all only do this to women anyway.
Right.
And that's another reason I don't fuck with these movements. A lot of these movements are straight up misogynistic, masquerading as activism, when it's like, y'all only come for women. Somebody else say something about somebody being fat. If it's a dude, y'all ain't got a goddamn thing to say, because they don't care.
Right.
And they won't be feeling that pressure, which is what I think the movement is about. A lot of it is about making people feel that pressure and putting that power trip on them and being like, we brought you to heal.
Right. And my thing is this, and I will forever say this. What's going to happen when y'all run up on the wrong one and they say, I'm not changing shit, kiss my ass? You're going to run up against one of them.
Yeah, it's just somebody's going to say, man, I don't feel like I'm a bad person, and I thought about this and I'm sticking to what I said.
Right.
Because a lot of times they don't even want to hear you out. They're just like, do what we say. And that's what I don't like about this thing. It's not a conversation. And I speaking to all these books that got recommended, which, I wonder if this person read them, because this feels like the list you see on Reddit whenever somebody disagrees. They just throw a list of books at people and shit. But as somebody that's followed these people, read some of the stuff about these books, the thing I keep wondering when it comes to when it comes to like this type of interaction is like, so then what about the books I read? What about the shit I believe? Because Conflict is Not Abuse is the book that put me on to this tactic, to where I see it now and I'm like, I don't like that, and I don't have to be a part of that. That's what Conflict is not like. It taught me to see the levers and the mechanisms behind a lot of this shit, and that's exactly what I see when I look at this movement, is how ridiculous this stuff can get. So yeah, I didn't want to respond completely in kind, and I didn't want to respond out of just anger and defensiveness, but I'm human, and if you write some shit like this in here, I'm gonna have a human response. I'm not gonna call you out your name. I'm not gonna call you stupid or some shit like that, but you have to understand we're all human, we're all working through shit, and we don't have to agree on this stuff. You know, that's the rule. You can write in and disagree, but write in and disagree with what was said, not some shit that you felt. Because I didn't say nothing about people being discriminated at work. I didn't say nothing about fat phobia isn't racist classes. I didn't say fat phobia isn't real and doesn't exist. I didn't say I've never experienced discrimination because of my body. Okay? I've talked about those experiences on here. You know, I've talked about going to like family events and somebody saying some wild out of pocket shit to me. I've cut people out of my life for this shit. How dare you, man? You could have asked. Instead of writing in and scolding and assuming, you could have asked if you really a fan, but you somehow missed all this shit and you missed every conversation we've ever had about this. Fine. You could have asked.
Yeah, because we're not irrational and illogical people. We're not. Yeah, you know, our fans, particularly people in the chat, they understand that we're human and we have human responses. And also, in my opinion, this is what happened, and this is why me and Roger has always fought against the hatred of celebrities, regardless of what they do, and because we know that we're not above that. And when people strip you from your humanity, this is the shit that they do.
Yeah, it's the like I said, it's wild how, and like it's an illustration of the movement. You can be down with a lot of the stuff in the movement, the messaging, destigmatizing word like people's bodies, and not just like people keep. It's always about like just the fat body part. It's like everybody's body. You know, one of the things I do on here that a lot, it's one of the things I don't do on here that people probably never notice is I almost never talk about somebody's body, like in a negative way. Never, like even when it's somebody I fucking hate, like when Miley Cyrus was, you know, being half naked and all this shit, and everybody was talking about how ugly her body was, and I remember thinking like, this black woman with that body. Not everybody got, you know, the BBL or whatever the fuck. Not every black woman got some ass or whatever.
No.
So while I'm shitting on her for how dare she have her body like this, there's somebody in our audience going, but my body looks like that.
Yep, I look exactly like that.
And so that's the kind of thoughts that I have, that I don't come on the air and perform them and write a essay, but I do it. I work it. I practice it. So, you know, if I'm not far enough for somebody, that's fine. Cause I still believe earnestly within myself. And so if I'm not good enough for where somebody feels I need to be, that's fine. But just, you can save the projection, because this is what I don't like about the movement, the projecting onto me, the projecting on the Taylor Swift, the projecting on the Lizzo, the projecting on the Adele. If you truly are what you claim to be, happy with your body, positive about your body, you'll stop looking at everybody else. Straight up. If you love yourself, or you're working on loving yourself, you really don't have the fucking energy to expend trying to police the whole fucking world. You don't. It takes a lot of work and love to love yourself. It takes a lot of intention.
Ooh, yes, it does.
To love yourself. The whole world is telling you not to love yourself. And the fight is not going to come from some external source. You're never going to get self-esteem from dragging somebody else down or them believing in you. Like, it's that like I said, it's just parts of the movement I don't even care about. Like the desirability stuff of like, we need to put fat people on billboards. I'm like, for what though? Is it going to actually improve my life? Because if not, then it's like diversity in the room that's just brown people doing white people shit, where it's like, what's the actual tangible thing for me? You know, like, what is the goal for me? You know, the people that do the if you won't date a fat person, then you I don't actually, if you don't want to date me, I don't want to date you. What the fuck? The end. I don't want no pity or entitlement dating. You know what I'm saying? It's that kind of thing. Like, I don't necessarily find power in the way you find power, and that should be okay. I don't sit on here and shit on it, but it's okay for me to say my experience is different than yours. So anyway, all right, let's move on. Sorry. The poll: does Wayne Brady deserve his own airport? Yes or no?
Yes. I say, my vote is yes. I would love to go to the Wayne Brady Airport on Obama Boulevard.
52% of people agree with Karen. 48% of people say no. I was kind of interested to see so many people say no. Meanwhile, the people with money on Spotify, 57% say yes and 43% say no. So they probably see more of his work because they can afford it. We did get some comments on the YouTube episode, Wayne Brady Airport. Saf Amine or Anime, I mean, says y'all are horrible in a good and funny way, going in on me regarding Laris's foot fetish. I just want to clarify that what I saw as obvious was him getting turned on by the feet, not him whipping it out and going to town. That part was a surprise. I should have clarified. I could barely watch it because I find feet disgusting. Nice recap episode. Wow. You foot shaming now? Okay. See, that's the problem with our society, is we think a certain type of foot is attractive.
We try to say that to put on socks.
If it was Taylor Swift feet, I bet you. Sentient Sponge says, LOL, I always refer to the non-Celsius degrees as the oven degrees because you only ever encounter those when cooking. So I guess they must not be from the US, but it is interesting if ovens in other countries are in Fahrenheit and not Celsius. I think I'll rest my case.
Yeah.
So y'all use Celsius for the weather, but Fahrenheit when it really matters because you don't want to fuck up some potatoes. I think we see which one is winning.
At -3 Celsius.
Yeah, you ain't never heated up the oven to 10 Celsius. Then leave me alone. White Label American Podcast says, hey K-Rod, I was at the Afros and Audios Podcast Festival all weekend in Philly, and guess who greeted me immediately when she saw me? Professor Lisa Woolford. She was full of life and love. Awesome woman in person. I didn't even need to introduce myself. The Blackout Tips Nation is awesome. Thank you.
Oh, that's sweet.
Appreciate you, fam. And of course, the Q&A on Spotify. Caution, this episode contains spoilers. Because that person was like, it's a spoiler. Renee says, spoiler, I hardly know her. Lee says, yes, we know. Right. It's feedback. What do you think people are gonna say? Raphael says, Karen said Wayne Brady deserves an airport. That's a fact backed by science. Y'all immediately send me your gold, diamonds, and dollars. Let's get this built immediately. Before you do that, vote blue. Rachel says, why not give Wayne an airport? Worse people have gotten one.
Right.
Come on. Replace Ronald Reagan Airport. Oh heavens, Kevin says, I was so close to actually Googling Wayne Brady Airport because Karen said it with so much confidence, and I live in California.
I knew that airport had Wayne in it so well.
But yeah, they racist as fuck over here in Orange County, aka MAGA County. Ignacio says, I'm glad you both decided not to allow these folks to spoil the episodes. Hell, I don't even watch the preview for the next episode. I like to be surprised. I hit that, ooh, shit, it's real. And Duck says, spoil away. Yeah, Ignacio, I think, misunderstood the sarcasm. Next episode, 2622, no bitching necessary. We had 15 comments, but most of them are just me and Sean going back and forth, and I think we cleared that up, so I won't read those. Sean says, real quick about the COVID rat killing experiment. Basically, they were testing whether the spike proteins had an effect on the mortality and morbidity because its effect beyond this effect to increase how contagious it is. Basically, the spike protein is the virus's lockpick. In most cases, the type of lockpick a murderer uses may affect whether they can enter the house, but will not affect how effective their weapon is. However, if the lockpick of choice were plastic explosive, it may just change the equation. They found that the different spike proteins were both lockpicks and did not have a significant impact or mortality or morbidity. It is important research, but was reported in a way that made it sound fucked up. All right, I'm not sure I followed, but
me either.
Please don't write in and explain anymore.
That was confusing.
That was enough. Appia says, what the heck? I'm here to comment, and there are already 5 comments on the side.
How they beat you, Appia? Come on. You know you're number one. I'm rooting for you.
I have to be quicker, I guess. We had a huge spike in COVID here. That spike seems to be going down again. Let's hope it keeps going down. To my surprise, I didn't get it for the second time so far, and I was able to make an appointment for the Omicron booster in 10 days. I would say I'm in a rather high danger of getting COVID as I go to physicians to talk to them about heart diseases and what to do about them and meet tons of COVID positive people on my way. And I have smaller kids. The good thing, you can only go into doctors' offices and hospitals wearing the good mask. It's a law here. What's also interesting is many physicians I know haven't had COVID yet, and if they had it, they got it in private. So surprise, the mask work.
Yeah, they do.
Absolutely. I'm sorry.
I said, yeah, they do. They work.
I absolutely can tell you that I'm not comfortable commenting on Kanye being awful to black people. Remember the discussion about Will Smith on the KTG forums? For example, people got into trouble for saying that violence is not great or whatever. Great ever. Where they were told that they don't know about the struggle and so on. Yeah, I remember that. I forget, the mermaid or something was her name, but there was a black woman on the forums that was saying anybody who thought Will Smith went too far and that he wasn't necessarily acting out of protecting his wife, but out of ego. She was basically like, if you're not a black woman, you can't understand. And it was like, I said it at the time. That's another one of these movements online that became about being mean and ostracizing people, and they went and started digging up any celebrity who was affected by being in the room.
Remember that
they started looking up their personal lives.
Started saying shit. His friends and people could, and they was like, "This you?" You like, what does this got to do with anything?
Yeah, and that was another one of those movements that I felt was out of fucking pocket and was not about what happened at all.
Right.
Like these things don't even relate, and especially for these niggas to be the most sensitive people on the fucking planet who weren't in the room, can't experience a movie with fictionalized trauma, but for people, human beings that were in the room and saw real life violence from people that they love and respect, those people were supposed to say nothing.
Right.
They were supposed to get down and lay down or say, you know what, he deserved to be slapped, and I agree with it. Those are the only things they were going to be allowed to say, or else y'all were going to come with them for the fury of God. That's ridiculous. Like, that's crazy. Like, there's a warped mentality online that happens when it's just everybody big up in the next person, and it's like being hyperbolic, and you end up in a place where Wanda Sykes can't say her friend and mentor shouldn't have been slapped, and it was traumatic to see him get slapped.
Right.
You end up in a place like that is crazy to me, and it's one I'm glad I don't be part of that shit. Like, and I don't feel bad or like I need some education, need to read a book. That shit was wrong at the end. But yeah, I always, but so anyway, so yes, when Kanye was talking about black people and slavery, there was a shit ton of white people that was like, I'm not gonna say nothing,
right?
Because they ain't want to get fried. And I saw people frying white people for saying shit. Anyway, I always thought that Kanye could only say this shit because he was a famous rich black man. All three attributes are the key here. He is used to being called a genius and has only yes men around him, I suppose. People want a piece of his fame and money, and they want him to be their black friend who says their racist behavior is okay. Yeah, all that stuff. I really feel more upset about the people that use him than the shit he says, to be honest, because I know he's out of his mind, basically. But the people that put him on platforms, the people that like pay him money to be affiliated with his brand, those are the people that I feel the most anger towards, because they enabled him and they know they were wrong. And they were and like some people were saying, like, see how them Jewish people did? Well, he's talked about the Jew stuff, all the contracts went away. It's like, well, black people don't really own the shit.
Right.
If he was actually in a situation where black people owned the means to production of those things and they weren't just like a part of the cogs, maybe that shit does get taken down. Maybe there are some people that won't fuck with him, you know? But yeah, you see a lot of people doing a lot of work for Kanye, defending him under the auspices of blackness. And until now, I think a lot of white people felt they should shut the fuck up. And even now, by the way, you still see some people making excuses or defending him in ways that I think are ridiculous. And with a lot of those being other black men, by the way, because those are the gatekeepers of those industries in some places. And they just now even started to say it's too much. They were fine with his anti-black shit, but once he went anti-Semitic, some of them are saying it's too much.
Yep.
And some of them, like Kyrie, are are joining in. Anyway, Yatunde says, "Oh my gosh, that judge. The only thing I kept thinking was Ava from Abbott Elementary as a judge is so wild in real life." Abby says, "I thought the same." Ernest says, "Almond ain't got no titties." Rick Ross. MD Aria says, "Something I've been seeing on the internet that I sort of agree with that folks have been saying, besides what y'all already said about Kanye and white folks feeling it's not their lane to speak up about anti-blackness. We collectively, we as black people never really said, yeah, we're done with him. And there are very few black men that we say we are done with. Kanye said slavery was a choice and folks had him on. Flew all the way out to Wyoming just to hang with him. Went to his church service. We're foaming at the mouth for his Donda launch. They were foaming at the mouth for his Donda launch party during the pandemic."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And one of the things that's so odd about it too is there was this period where I shouldn't even say odd. I guess it's odd. It was the opposite of what you think would happen. Like he said, slavery was a choice, and there were certain people that I think, in the goodness of their hearts, let's not just assume they all were tripping, but some of them thought like now's the time to bring him in, to show him love, to console him. He's acting out, and I think that's a good impulse to have. But all it ends up looking like is a room full of yes people, because you have obviously the clout chasers and stuff that are just there to be in the picture because he's getting all the attention. You had the people that are supposed to be his friends that think they can talk him out of it, like John Legend and Pharrell were trying to do and stuff. But at the end of the day, man, you can't talk somebody that's an adult with their money and access and fame like him out of anything he don't want to do. So, but yeah, I think a lot of it was people in a good way thinking, let's gather our arms up around him as a community because he just needs to be brought in and helped. And unfortunately, that didn't work. Many of the folks who are like, wow, white folks got him out of the paint for anti-Semitism, but didn't for anti-blackness. Meanwhile, y'all had this man on Howard Homecoming with a MAGA hat on. Right. I know folks want to say we don't have the power to cancel somebody, but I truly believe if black folks, especially black industry folks, decide, yeah, I'm not going to have him on the music festival I run, not going to invite him to Howard Homecoming, not going to invite him to outlets we have a say on what's acceptable. I think maybe folks outside the culture would have maybe seen the shit and follow suit. Oh, I agree. Like everyone who's acting like we were powerless and that we as black people played no role, I disagree with them. We did. We absolutely did. It's see, the problem with anti-blackness is that it is the backbone of America.
Mm-hmm.
And it is so strong, we all speak it.
Yeah, we do.
We all have some of it in us. And because of that, we as black folks too can't really draw the line with somebody we like going into that arena. Like if it's somebody we don't like, for the most part, we can just be like, fuck them. They got to go get their money from white people. You know, like a Candace Owens gets her money from white people. What was Stacey Dash, you know, CJ Pearson. Like those people get their money from white people because we don't platform those people.
Mm-mm.
But when it's somebody we like, it's so fucking difficult for us. You know, Bill Cosby made a third or fourth act to his career just being the guy that tells people black people fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the black community, we got so much love for President Obama, but in 2008, you know, I remember when it was 2007 or 8, I remember he gave a speech to a graduating class of HBCU students and he was scolding them. He's talking about the things wrong with black people. That's just how strong anti-blackness is. That even those of us who love us have some level of it. Or if we don't have some level of it, we echo some of the messages, even though we don't believe it in the way that an anti-black person believes it. So like, you know, if your dad tells you like, boy, pull your pants up before you go out the house, he be telling you pull your pants up if you was white. He don't give a fuck. But at the end of the day, that's a thing that white people use to excuse mistreating us. So it's just how strong it is, how ubiquitous it is. And so I think that's what happens is a black person that we like starts saying anti-black shit and we go, well, maybe they mean it out of love. Maybe they just don't understand what they're saying. Like we go through everything except you got to go. Anti-Semitism, they don't play that. Like with anti-Semitism, you literally had a Holocaust. They not even letting you start this shit in the media. They know what's up.
Their motto is never forget.
Right. They know what's up. And even now with him finally getting some level of deplatforming and cancellation, we're seeing folks talk about we have to defend Ye. Why? I know. Yeah. I've seen Dez Bryant. Kyrie Irving tweeted out a link to a movie based off of a book saying black people were the real Jews. And he did that like yesterday or some shit. Like that, like, yeah, like this. When I say that, like, we, quote unquote, we, not all of us, we, comma, you know what I'm saying? Like, we in parentheses are responsible for some of it. That's what I mean. Is like, we can't come to, like, there's a uniformity amongst Jewish people that's like, no,
right.
We just didn't have it. And I don't know that we'll ever have it in America. And that's just kind of how it is. I'm not knocking us for it. I just think it's true.
No, the only time we had it is when there was no choice. Because guess what? Yeah. Rich nigga, poor nigga, broke nigga, any type of nigga, the law said no. We was unified then because there was not no choices. But once we got choices and people started having money and separating themselves and leaving the community and things like that, that's when all this separation happened. Yeah, it was unified when they was like, no, nigga, you's a nigga. We don't give a fuck what you say.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, when we have a choice. Yeah, unless you're trying to get him medicated, some help, nothing else will be beneficial. I agree. Himdale says, Kanye, I just hope he can truly get the help he needs and do so in private. I agree with Rod that should he be in the space to receive whatever it is he needs, he's going to look back at these years without help in the horror, if not deep remorse and regret. He will be a spokesperson for the importance of being actively engaged with and addressing mental health challenges if he survives his own mania. I will gladly welcome him to therapy with the rest of the cisgender black men like me. Yeah, I mean, and that is to say, because I think this gets lost in it because once again, people project and feel their way about shit. I'm not saying the dude is like some great dude or something, even when he's medicated and stuff. I'm just saying you'd have to be in an extreme amount of denial to look at his behavior now and him openly saying how he's not been medicated for God, how many years has it been?
It's been a hot minute.
I want to say last time we knew he was on his meds was like at some period between My Dark Twisted Fantasy and Life of Pablo. I want to say at the Life of Pablo, maybe at the Life of Pablo, he might have had to go to rehab or something. But there was like this long period of time where he's like, I love being bipolar, it's fucking awesome, da da da, or so, like where you're like, oh, he's just not on his meds. And I just think the behavior since then, the behavior once he ran up in TMZ has been so disconnected from his own point of view before that. It's just hard to not see it as a mesh of two things where maybe he always believed this anti-blackness and he was hiding it better than anybody on earth before, or maybe this coincided with some type of psychotic break. And then also, even if you just think he's really been a bigot and a horrible person this whole time, well, then the thing that was keeping him from saying that shit was probably the common sense that comes with taking your meds. That's like, I better not say that. I mean, if that's what you believe, you're entitled to believe anything you want, but it just, to me, that's how I view it. Now that's out the way. Judge Pinky, don't you all see what she did? She is auditioning in real life to play the sister Ava Coleman on Abbott Elementary. I mean, couldn't y'all see her as Ava's sister? I could. Pinky, listen, Janelle need to try out for that Pinky's. If they do a story on her, a movie or a TV series about Judge Pinky, they gotta give Janelle a shot.
Come on.
Pinky Show has already got scripts and transcripts ready to go. It could be shot cinematically like Abbott, the faux documentary, and be the spinoff we need. Give her a show already. I actually listened to this segment multiple times because it just read so goddamn good. Thank you.
Oh,
thank you. We thought we did a good job too. Everybody but Sean thought we did a good job. Lakita says, I'm gonna keep it real. That judge pissed me off. He was really fucking people. She was really fucking people over at her whim. The fuck? Maybe I'd like a show if she's only presiding over pet disputes or something, but maybe not even then. I hear you, Lakita, and I think that's a reasonable response. We covered a lot of that stuff with humor because definitely would have brought down the show, I think. But yeah, there was some stuff in there that I found to be egregious. The debtor's prison shit, the fact that all this was ostensibly done because she just didn't believe in the COVID restrictions, which how
the rest of the building empty, you the only one in there with your light on.
Yeah, I mean it was very irresponsible in my opinion. I mean, yeah, I'm with you. I hear you. The poll was, would you watch Judge Pinky's show? Yes or no?
I would.
42% said yes, 58% said no, which makes me wonder, would they watch Steve Harvey Judge show? Because I did, and it was great.
It was greatness.
The comment on episode on YouTube was just y'all won though, 2 laughing emojis. And then on Spotify, the poll was 63% yes, would watch, 38% no. Now imagine it's because these people have all the streaming channels, so it's easier for them to watch, and then the people on our website, it's probably harder for them because they don't have all those streaming channels.
They got to pick and choose. They can't have all the channels.
They like which one is gonna be on. You know what I'm saying? I don't got the AMC Plus. Y'all know we got that international first class flight money over here. That was the comment. Rachel says, look, we reuse clean aluminum foil in this house just to be balling on the spot. Lee says, who is y'all? Y'all know y'all got it. Y'all Spotify people got it. Don't try to act like y'all don't got it.
Don't try to act
here you go new. Here y'all go. Rich people love to pretend to be like the rest of us,
right?
As far as
they just like us. We don't believe you.
As far as Judge Pinky dresses in the way that made me switch from Spotify to YouTube, I'll watch. Always support Black women. As for first class, let's respect my privacy, okay? Just keep the drinks coming, says Raphael. Ernest says it's the only safe way to travel. That's a good callback. Reggie says, upgraded to business class on my last flight on my vacation on American Airlines. It was in the same section as that first class, but for less. It's nice, but I won't be paying the $5 often though. June says, LOL, nope, just holding on over here. I feel like June got secret money. I ain't gonna blow your spot up, June. I ain't gonna blow your spot up. Olivia says, yeah, baby. $sign tongue out emoji, dollar bag, money bag emoji, bunch of dollars, a bunch of money emojis. Quietly slinks away from the back to the back row of the economy class section.
You at the back of the plane.
She just described Instagram in a heartbeat in one sentence. That's Instagram. Roger says, where the money resides, where the money resides. All right, let's go to the next one, which is the new MLK Boulevard. Got 7 comments on here. Sean says, I'm sorry that some of my comments over the last couple of weeks, including those in relation to Judge Pinky, have caused you distress. I'm not intentionally trying to incite you and will increase my efforts to ensure my comments are informed and appropriate going forward. However, I cannot stop being weird, as that is against my religion. You know what? I respect that.
I respect that too.
I'm weird. I get it. It's hard for me. Also, not going to defend the daycare workers. It's a hard job. I've done it myself. And scaring kids straight is never effective nor ethical. Fuck those daycare workers and don't let them sully Judge Pinky's show. All right, I guess he was okay with us on that one. All right. Tommy D says, you might be onto something when it comes to Obama taking over the MLK naming rights. The Barack Obama Academy of International Studies, also known as Pittsburgh Obama 6 through 12, was opened in 2009. They didn't waste any time naming the school after him, and he got the school before the Nobel Peace Prize. That's wild.
That day was like, we own it.
That's when I knew we was gonna fuck Obama presidency up, was when he got that Nobel Peace Prize and he hadn't done shit yet. I said, these niggas are patting themselves on the back for having a black president. Like y'all just like, guys, we did it. This is really a peace prize for all of us.
Yes.
We were not racist enough to elect a black man. You're like, what?
Racism is over. We get the peace prize.
Yeah. Logan CH says, I think some of the difference in the response to Kanye is also the severity of what he says about black people versus the Jews. The anti-black stuff he said, as far as I know, especially since learning this show, TMZ left out the anti-Jew stuff has been kind of stuff you can get away with. Moving the blame of our oppression on ourselves. Though the slavery as a choice might be limited to coming from a black person, most of the mainstream races who don't mostly have their own platform still pull away from directly naming and aiming at Jewish or black people. They'll go something like globalist or woke or advocate for America's first and black people needing to fix our culture instead of complaining. Kanye shot straight past that with death/DEF CON shit, no plausible deniability, or I'm just saying, combined with the ability of mostly everyone to be on the right side of reacting to that by cutting ties and renouncing him, like you said before. That's a great point, Logan. Definitely, yeah, that's a great point. It definitely also does change the severity. Although I will say, like, some of his more harsher anti-black stuff, if he had said that about anybody but black people, where it hasn't been normalized in our society, I really think it would have taken him down too. But it's just anti-blackness is so normalized. It's
particularly in this country.
It's so wild, man. It's so wild. Appia says, I agree with everything you said about Madonna. She was a prisoner for a non-apologetic female sexuality. I mean, pioneer. I said prisoner. I meant pioneer. But also, when I was younger, she was 45. I thought she was the coolest. Now I feel a bit sad when I see her and how much she has done to her face and body. I know it's her right, and I know if she aged naturally, people would also say shit.
Right.
She aged. How dare she? Still, I hope when I'm 64, right, I'll be more comfortable with my appearance, not to try so hard. Getting older is still a privilege. A neighbor friend of mine is just in the hospital, and I think she will die very soon from 2 serious diseases, and she is 55. I bet she would love to be 64. I wonder what will happen to Kanye in a year. Will he be better? What do you think? He did so many awful things in the last months of a different kind. First of all, sorry to hear about your friend, and that's very sad. And yeah, man, women aren't allowed to age in our society. It's a very misogynistic society. We shit on old people. It's one of the reasons I kind of find, and I get what they're trying to say, but I kind of find the negativity around older people being in politics to be distasteful a bit.
Yep.
Because the assumption is that they kind of just need to go away and die.
Right.
Like
just don't exist. You be like, but if you live long enough, you'll get here too, and you wouldn't want nobody just tossing your ass to the side.
Yeah, like I kind of understand that it's a complicated thing, because to me, the bigger issue people probably have is that, and they're just not expressing it the right way, but it's that the people have been doing the job so long, which is a different argument to me. It's like, yes, we need term limits, which I agree with. But the idea of like somebody who's, I don't know, over the age of 60 cannot and should not be able to contribute to the political discussion and all that stuff, that's crazy to me. We vote to elect people, and a lot of times it's the knowledge you gain from seeing shit that helps. You know what I mean? I vote for any old Democrat over Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Come on.
So to me it's about your platform and stuff. But yeah, you made me think I know that's not what you brought up, but you made me think about just how much we're like, okay, yes, you were a sex symbol. Now go away and die, bitch. And it's like, well, nah. And maybe, she's chasing shit with the BBL and the face surgery and stuff. But I just feel like that's all societal shit that we give people head trips about. And now they go get the surgeries that, end up, almost doing the opposite of what they was designed to do. But it's just showing, it's like a physical manifestation of how much, perfect example. Wow, what a great full circle moment. Taylor Swift looking at the scale. It's that. And we see it every day, the results of that. But at the same time, we go, you can't talk about that. But it's like, no, this is the results of that level of like outside voices damning you for just being fucking human. Just having the body you have, there's always somebody saying, I don't fuck with that. That's not right.
Whatever that body type is.
Yeah, even the mainstream women that we go, yes, Scarlett Johansson and shit. It's always somebody out there just going, I'm not hiring her. She's 41 now. No more jobs for you. You want to play somebody grandmama? Because that's all we got left. Because ain't no sexy 40-year-old women. And I should know, I'm a producer and I only fuck 18-year-olds. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
it's that type of thing that they're dealing with, and because it's not as quote unquote bad as what someone else is dealing with, we kind of relegate these people to no real support and no advocacy, and they're not allowed to really talk about it without us all shitting on them. And then we look up one day and they got the fucking cat face surgery, and we're like, why did she do that? You know?
Right.
MD says, I know we aren't supposed to judge apologies, and trust me, I try not to, but I felt like, no, you can judge an apology. I just think people judge them harshly. I think everybody judges apologies. It's kind of what an apology is. It's out there, it's gonna get judged. I ain't knocking y'all for that. I might not always agree, but I'm not knocking y'all. But I felt like the apology from the daycare worker was lacking. It seemed to me, and maybe I need to watch the whole 8 minutes. I love how you did watch the whole 8 minutes, but yes. But the clip you shared, they were saying because they can't beat the kids or punish them, they decide to scare them instead. For 2-year-olds, as the kids say, be fucking for real. And to be fucking for real is towards the daycare teachers for being clearly wild as hell for that. Should they be charged criminally? That I don't know. Maybe someone can ask for restorative justice. They can host a public forum with the 2-year-olds and see what punishment they want them to receive. Yeah, I don't know that we let the 2-year-olds are wild.
Ain't no telling.
Right.
I think that should be eaten by a unicorn. Okay, Bobby, you don't get a choice, sir.
Right.
Put your hands down.
Right.
There will be no burning of the dragons.
Right.
There's no unicorns.
I think they should have to go woods, and they should have to play with a bear, and they should have to eat some peanut butter with the bear. You like, okay, whose idea was this?
No.
Whose idea was this?
No. I'm sorry. You don't actually get to say
the daycare worker's just gonna be in there like, just give me 6 months in prison, please. Any prison, I don't care.
I think the Santa should give them cold for the rest of their life. Right. You don't get a choice.
You know what, little Bobby? Thank you for your thoughts.
Thank you for your input. Noted.
You know
and
what?
We'll be sure to tell Santa.
And they probably gonna be in there like, you stink, and you fat, and you ugly. And you gonna be like, damn, no wonder these bitches put on some masks. I wish I had a screen mask for you little bad motherfuckers.
You're like, I would put a mask on too then.
Rah!
But you stop talking that shit now, won't you?
Look at it, boogity. Oh.
All hell will break loose all over again.
I think that's what the teachers fucked up.
Order in the court. It'll be a hot mess.
That's what the teachers always fuck up, man. You gotta film the kids. Don't let them film you. You film the kids first. And you put the shit out of them just acting bad and be like, look at these little motherfuckers. Like, don't react. See, they drive you crazy when you think you need to react. That's how they get you. I remember reading an article once. No, it was back in the days of This Week in Blackness with Elon James White. And they read an article about like a school resource officer or a teacher or somebody that they handcuffed a kid or something. Mm-hmm. And I remember thinking like, oh no, they handcuffed the kid. That's terrible. But then as you read the article, you find out like the kid broke the person's leg somehow. And I remember and they were, of course, everybody, it's a very liberal show, and everybody, the audience is very liberal. And I used to call in and kind of be like comic relief, kind of. And so everybody was like, oh, this is terrible. You got to talk to the kid. You got to do this. You got to do that. And I just remember calling in and being like, hey, man, that kid broke that dude's fucking leg. Like, I don't know. Maybe they need to be handcuffed to some cops so somebody can come. Like y'all asking for a lot right now. I understand if it was just like the kid was talking back.
He didn't beat the kid up. He was like, I'm a handcuff you so you can't break the other one.
Yeah, I'm like, I want to see the video, because if this little nigga whooped that officer's ass or that teacher's ass, and then the teacher was like, the teacher was like, I can't handle this, I'm calling the cops. I get it. I need to see like this, like 99% of the time I'm on y'all side. This is the one time I actually need to see what happened. How strong is this little fucking kid?
How much can the kid bench press?
Yeah, like this kid was in there probably whooping this. What that kid? Nick Fury signed that kid up. I need to see the proof. Anyway, it was funny. But yeah, Him Deal says sword ratchet is shame, Karen, shame. all these episodes, and you've been listening to Rod almost daily, proselytizing and preaching about these unregulated swords out here. It truly is a dangerous world, and the eBay sword pimps is waiting and ready to serve up all your legal, yes, legal slicing needs. Wake up. Yep. I be listening for gunfire, but I also got my ears open for that unmistakable, unsheathing sword sound. Ain't gonna catch me slipping. Thank you, Rod.
Thank you. Be on top of it. I don't blame you.
You welcome him, deal. The poll: will Obama become the new MLK streets in the hood? Yes or no?
Yes.
71% of people agree with you. 28 don't. 29 don't. 29% don't. Interesting. And on Spotify, the poll 70. It's almost identical. 76 and 24. So most people believe that's gonna happen. I think it's gonna happen, and I blame anti-blackness. I really do. I really do. I'm not joking. I really think it's only anti-blackness that can explain you thinking that naming shit after people black people respect will lead to less violence in the neighborhood, but not funding the schools, not community policing, not violence intervention. You know what I'm saying? Not like changing the economic resources for the community with better internet and shit. Like, no. Name the street Obama. You're like, what's that gonna do? I don't know, but you know, just like it's named after Obama now, so stop killing each other. What about some affordable housing? You know, the rent market is killing us and we don't own. Yeah, we can't do that, but here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna have Obama Circle and Obama Street. So and now you got
Obama Lane.
Now, see, ain't nobody getting shot over there now. Y'all gonna be so confused to find which street you gonna be on.
No, you don't know if you're gonna be on the Avenue or Parkway.
Right. Like that's how they gonna stop the violence. They name everything after Obama, and nobody gonna be able to find each other to kill them.
Right. They're gonna be like, it's 4 Obama roads in this town.
Nigga, I'm outside. Y'all want to come find me? Y'all know what's up, man. Shit, all my enemies ride up on me, man. I'm up on Obama Lane. They be like, all right, now how I get there? Okay, you gonna take Obama Avenue to Obama Circle.
Take a left on Obama Parkway.
Now look, you get to Obama Road, you went too far. Okay, so you're gonna have to turn around. You get to Obama cul-de-sac now. See, that's a dead end. Anyway.
You got to make a U-turn.
The comments that we got on YouTube. Let me see if we got any. 3. Ramsey Dunn says DJ Rod taking us back to high school, 5 stars. Oh, because a little bit of the music made it into the video, but it's just a little bit. White Label American Podcast says this is why I walk quickly anytime I was by a sword selling vendor during the recent New York Comic Con.
Smart.
Did not even try to admire anything on the stand. I'm out. Keep up the great work. And my mom says, awesome show, dear brother and dear sister. Thanks, Mom.
Thank you.
Let's see the poll. I did that. The comments. We got 4 comments. Collect your own money, player. I'm not your bitch. Run, tell that. How you like them apples, suckers? Was the comment.
That's a long ass comment, sir.
That's what she said. Judge Pinky. She would be great. Creasy says, when the Judge Pinky show come on, Rod writing that script for HBO. Come on, let's do it. Lee says, and fuck them badass kids. Damn. She Team Daycare over here.
Team Daycare all day. Yay.
I ain't know. Damn. I ain't know it was like that. Roger says, yes, this is my hometown. And yes, MLK Boulevard and Obama Highway intersect. Wow. But before it was Obama Highway, it was Dixie Highway. You know what? I'll accept that. Because there's no way they named Dixie Highway in the hood. Well, actually, Dixie Highway in the hood might make niggas act right in a different type of way.
Ain't that the truth?
Now I think about it. Maybe that's been the problem all along. They've been naming after black icons, but if they would have been naming them shits in the hood after motherfucking white slave owners and shit, we might have been like, don't go down Dixie and shoot nobody. They tripping over there.
Don't go down Dixie.
We got a neighborhood that we call Dixie, like up the street from here. So, and I remember my brother one time was when he was younger. I think I had my license, he didn't have his, so he wanted me to drive him to meet some girls that he was him and his friend were interested in. So I drove him and his friend. They didn't tell me exact neighborhood. And yeah, as we started getting closer, I was like, is this in Dixie? Are these white girls? Nigga, we're about to get lynched. Like, what is this?
I know the fuck is this.
What is this? It's like Confederate flag, gun stole. Like, where are you taking me?
Right.
Sean, Myra plans it says Sean must be new here. Just relax and enjoy the show, sir. I don't even know who Sean is. Oh, yeah, Sean, because he wrote that. Yeah, I don't know what Sean was doing. But you know what? He say he's weird. I'm weird. It happens.
Yeah, everybody's weird.
Most of his comments be good. We all got to learn the rules. It's going to be all right.
Yes.
I got faith in you, Sean.
We believe in you.
You've been a good commenter, except for like 2 comments, but you always leave comments and they're always good. It's going to work out. We got 13 fucking comments on the next episode.
Ooh, y'all had a lot to say.
Let's see. Appia says, I think the Kanye, it was the Winterfest was the name of this episode. I think Kanye stuff very complicated. I think, in my opinion, he is mentally ill and also racist and other bad things. Not everyone who is bipolar turns to racism. In fact, most don't. We also don't like it when criminals claim they're mentally ill and that was their reason for violence. Not liking something don't make it not true. I was thinking about this, and I'm listen. I understand how people feel, and I know a lot of it's because of societal stigmas, but I'm releasing that. I don't care. That's not for me. Y'all, that's so we can have black and white discussions, and that's not what we come to the Blackout Test for. Anyway, it's interesting because if someone has a schizophrenic episode and murders their own mom, we immediately are like, that's mental illness. We don't go, nah, he just must have secretly always been a mom murdering motherfucker, and this just what he do. We're like, no, that's clearly untreated mental illness. So there are things that we say are not normal. There's violence that people participate in, and we're like, yes, that's mental illness.
Yeah, that's not normal.
That being said, not everybody who is racist burns their whole fucking life up in public for no fucking reason either.
Right.
So like everything that we say one way can go the other way is all I'm saying. Once again, everyone's entitled to believe what they believe. I know what I believe, and I just think it's some gray mishmash of
it could be both.
He's got these issues, and also it's exacerbated by mental health issues, untreated mental health issues. Let's be frank, because a lot of times when we say, so I know people that have this issue and they don't. It's like because they're on their meds, they're doing the right things. So no, you wouldn't know whatever. And their biggest nightmare is that they lose control, and they really don't be having control. And our society is not prepared to admit that. We're just like, that's just what they believe now. Like, okay, all right. You know, it's like saying somebody with OCD believe that's just how they believe. I don't think so. I think mental illness, we're still learning about it, and it can manifest in many different ways. I still stand by a lot of the people that were attracted to this QAnon shit. When you hear the stories about them, they're people with mental health issues.
Yeah, and a lot of times their families are like, this person is mentally ill.
Yeah, and they had it before this shit. And it just makes me more mad at the people who know that will attract folks, and they use it anyway. It makes me mad at Donald Trump. It makes me mad at Republicans and mad at media types that, like, someone ran up in Nancy Pelosi's house and attacked her husband. It makes me mad because I know that person's probably disturbed, but our society and a lot of the political commentary around it has been normalizing the idea of violence since January 6th. And even before that, the idea of white violence and normalizing, vilifying Nancy Pelosi and Democrats for so long that, of course, there was somebody out there that it reached. Of course. Anyway. Appia says Adidas will not get any praise for dropping him. They could only minimize the backlash, and I'm sure they're losing money now. Actually, their stock went up. They made money so far. The question is, what is the responsibility of corporation and capitalism? I'm not sure. The goal is making money first. But for any price, I hope not. I work for a big company, no interest in spokesperson here, no drugs created by Jay-Z or something. And the PR is always very ethical, but it's, of course, about the money. A product doesn't work equals layoffs. They chose Kanye for his power to turn up sales, not because he was a great person. Oh no, I meant medical drugs created by Jay-Z as a joke because I thought the image of another cool looking and successful rapper and producer in the lab working on medical studies and regulations to create a new heart drug would be amusing. Then I remembered that he used to sell drugs as a young person, and that could be seen very differently. Like I wanted to attack him. Now I wish I had said Taylor Swift instead. Let me tell you right now, Appia, you lucked out not saying Taylor Swift. Somebody gonna write up in here and be mad at you.
That's Taylor Swift, that trigger word.
Listen, Taylor Swift is that's like sounding the alarm for these motherfuckers. Oh my God.
They'll come out to what works.
But I tell you what, Tay on them motherfucking charts back on they motherfucking necks
Ain't she
again.
with that new album?
I ain't heard nothing since Tay dropped. Okay. Y'all better leave my girl alone. MD Aria says, I wonder how bad his contract was that they own all their rights. Also, not so fun fact, the founder of Adidas is part of Hitler Youth. So yeah, they can't be out here silent on anti-Semitism, German or not. And then Appia says, in our family documents from that time, every stamp signed is a swastika sign. It is because my grandparents demanded it? Of course not. You went to the town hall for anything. This was the stamp they put on anything. Should I show those documents? For example, in America today, people would think it was that I was some impressive Nazi heir. Well, I wouldn't use the word impressive, but and it gets even funnier, quote unquote. My family also always lived in the area between Germany and Poland where the nationality changed very often. People were classified in the levels of being German. Seems not problematic at all. They got NR1 of 4. Wow. And now I do the 23andMe test and I'm 80% Eastern European, other stuff, and 0% Western European, which is German. And people always ask me where I'm from and tell me I look too dark to be from Poland or Germany. Sorry. Things are complicated. All I can say is that I'm definitely actively not a Nazi and will never will be.
I'm glad to hear that.
And then MDR says, we know you're not a Nazi. You paid the $16 to ride.
All has been forgiven.
I think that clears up any questions about that. And she says, thank you for seeing me. And it was 1906. So I'm even $3.06 less a Nazi. Exactly.
Right.
But yeah, MD had brought up that so they went back and forth. So then Appia brought up my grandfather was also part of Hitler Youth. He was 14. This is a mandatory youth organization for boys. My grandmother was in the same organization for girls. I'm sure he wasn't some progressive sort of person, but also not some Nazi mastermind at 14. And now what? The other set of grandparents only wasn't because they were too old. My other grandfather was forced to fight in Germany, a German army in Russia, got his feet partially frozen off. It's not like they had lots of choice. Hitler Youth or Hitler shot in the head. I promise you, I will never join a Hitler anything because I have the choice. But yeah, MDR brings up a great point, which is in America, the context gets lost. So if you just say Hitler Youth, it's like this motherfucker would fuck with Hitler. And there's not going to be a lot of clarification or whatever. And then I'm just paraphrasing because I'm trying to speak. They had a whole ass conversation. But yeah, then that's when she went into her whole family history and stuff. Let's see. D Richards 14 says, I just checked out your Amazon wish list. Is that updated? It's not, and we will update it soon.
We will update it.
Y'all really just want books and coat hangers? Just checking. I'm really feeling spendy. You know what? We'll have it updated by Sunday. Lakita says that they don't leave women alone. Damn. And she's talking about the poll, which is bikini baristas should be legal, should be illegal. 95% of y'all believe it should be legal on the website. One person said illegal, which represented about 5% of the vote. And I imagine that's JL Covan.
He the one person.
He probably the one.
I'm against this.
Yeah, I see it. That's the less that I figured. He the one. Like, women showing titties. How dare they? Meanwhile, on the website for Spotify, 81% say legal, 19% say illegal. Now, it's maybe because they have so much money, they would never order coffee from a drive-up barista situation.
Let me tell you what, they have so much money. They're in the Mile High Club, so they was like, we would not stoop ourselves to lower our standards.
If I want to see some titties, I pay my handmaiden to just take her clothes off or whatever. These richies. The comments on the YouTube, Lily Sweet 098 says, the way I busted out laughing when Rod said, I don't speak English, I speak these horns. Too funny. Pet Lover says, love you guys. I'm so glad this is on YouTube. I've been listening since 2015 when I heard Rod on Twib. He was so funny. I had to check out his podcast and I never looked back. Thanks, Pet Lover.
Thank you, baby.
Sean says, Karen needs to start doing reaction shorts on YouTube. She keep me laughing and looking a fool at work because of her commentary. Heart emoji and laughing emoji. And then the Q&A was, let James Corden eat. Creasy says, what I don't get with the bikini baristas is why would anyone choose to work there if you're just gonna turn around and sue for the work attire? Just don't make sense. Aaron says, no. Well, I don't think the bikini baristas were suing. They're the ones that were getting sued. They was willing to show some titties. They was like,
yeah, it was other people that was like, we don't want to see him covering them up. Them were the people that was suing.
It was JL Covan driving by with his coffee already black and eating on some grape nuts and almonds, mad that these women had the right to bodily autonomy, being like, how dare you put those titties away?
Not in my neighborhood.
I don't not on Barack Obama Boulevard.
Nope.
Nelson says, we as black peoples should have held Kanye accountable, but denying him our dollars. I honestly can't say I feel pity for him, especially this has been a progression over the years. Yeah, like I said, this is the part about being an empath. I appreciate your honesty. I think a lot of people think they're empaths or pretend to be empaths when really they're just using it as an excuse to lash out at any and everybody. And I think the thing for me a lot of times is to see somebody like this and go, if they won't help themselves, that's it for me. And the only thing I was talking to somebody about this the other day. We talk about Kanye often. And they were talking about how it was really disturbing to them and how just seeing him in the media all the time was really getting to them. And they were like, how are you dealing with it? And I was like, honestly, I'm in the healthiest place I've ever been in my life with this, where I just accept there ain't shit I can do about it. And then if he don't do nothing about it, ain't nothing gonna be done. And this is the end of it. Like, I'm not mad at him. There's no emotional attachment to it. It's just that those are the facts. And the only thing I'm thinking about is what happens when he gets out of this. Like, I hope if he gets out of this, I hope it's not him harming himself. And he gonna have to deal with the consequences of this shit. And this is one of the reasons people say don't get off your fucking meds. Roger says, I saw a poster for Winterfest in the Wayne Brady Airport. Last one was How to Slay Your Dragon. That's our Game of Thrones House of the Dragon recap. Mwangangi says, of course, I'm gonna be back for season 2. Shit, it might be the only TV show that I actually watch with y'all. Too bad Arax couldn't breathe at the correct temperature. Him and Lucerys might have been able to escape. #Fahrenheit game. Kokwe says, I swore I wasn't going to watch House of the Dragon, but then my play cousins from North Carolina decided to recap. So here I am. If I'm here in 18 months when the season 2 comes out, I'll be back. Jim Dropper says, child, season 2 finna be lit. This episode definitely should have been nicknamed This Could Have Been a Raven. Rest in peace to the strong boy. And once again, Otto had the audacity to show up to Dragonstone with 0 dragons, just riding on a torn book page. Sir, you clearly forgot the feeling of that stink hot breath of a dragon that got released on you at your grandson coronation. Act like you got some damn sense in a dragon backup plan before they can get burnt. You get burned to the crisp. Auntie Ray was spilling tea and throwing shade for the most of this episode. I respect the decision to stand back and stand by until Corliss was ready to bend the knee. The power couple moves right there. Also, this my mama said had me cracking up and picturing that meme of Lil Cardi B saying that repeatedly to all the grown folks. It was really a good reminder that these are some inexperienced babies getting thrown into a conflict brought about by their parents and grandparents. The loss of Luke is about to harden a lot of these young hearts before their primes as this war begins.
Oh yeah, they're gonna be very upset.
Yeah, all these kids was born in peacetime. As much as I hate to say it, even as a DV survivor, I'm siding with Rod on Damon with this one. Still, fuck Damon for that yoking up, but he does have a point. Ugh, I hate to say it. Trying to remind myself that this is fictional. Can't take this too seriously. Yeah, I almost never have a problem with fictionalized violence and shit like that. It's just my thing. I appreciate all the stuff that people go through, but it didn't happen. So like I have it's so crazy because I feel like most people are the opposite. I have a harder problem when my friends send me like a viral video of like, look at these two women fighting on the side of the street. Well, I'll be like, oh, that really happened though.
Yes, that really happened. I don't want to see that.
Yeah, it's like, oh, he bleeding out the head or whatever. I'm like, yeah, I mean, I get that's funny to y'all, but that's also kind of fucked up.
Yes.
And like I can do it, but it's just it takes me a second. You know, other people seem like it's instant, like, oh yeah, play. Where I'm like, what happened now? They're like, this happened. I'm like, So anyway,
that's why I turned them fucking auto plays off. No, thank you.
But when it comes to stuff like this, it's just like, yeah, it's not real. like it's just not like though that did not happen, and I can just watch it. So I don't know, but it was shocking in the way they portrayed it. And it was great acting and all that stuff. So I feel you. And I don't have the experience of a DV survivor. I got plenty of experience with violence and shit just from my upbringing. And it's like, yeah, it's hard to side with a violent motherfucker like that. But he was making points. But he was wrong. But he was making points. Anywho, the men of Westeros all reeked of varying degrees of toxic masculinity and could do some good therapy. And the reading tutor for the Baratheon Lord. I'm rooting for the blacks in the coming war. However, I don't mind wearing a t-shirt that says Vaemon had a point in the meantime. Merch idea. Now Game of Thrones will take down your stuff. So maybe I can find a way to sneak that in, but just understand if you see
be on it.
You see that design come up, you might want to copy it immediately.
Them and Nintendo, they would be like, nope, get that shit out of here.
You might want to copy it immediately because they will come get it. Thank you both for the great season of House of the Dragon recaps and keep up the great work that you both do. Brooklyn Shoebabe says, I'll be back for season 2 recaps. Bro, I can't tell you how much joy and laughter your recaps bring me. When you said that the Jeffersons and the Freemans in the Pledge to Allegiance, it took me a whole minute to realize you were joking because all those names on them dragons do sound black. I'm with Damon though. We got Dragon, fuck peace. Yeah, what's the point? If I haven't said it lately, let me say I appreciate you riding Karen sincerely. Kisha of House Brooklyn Shoebabe, first and only of her name, defender of the Fire Boroughs in library books. Lakita says, per the poll, if y'all will be there, I will be there. Because I basically asked, are y'all gonna watch season 2? You and Karen make the recap so fun. After this episode, I went to HBO to see the last scene. I needed to see the murder in Ray's eyes. That episode should have ended playing Nucketh If You Bucketh. Laugh my ass off. So good. Ramsey says, I enjoyed them dragons. I can wait for season 2. In my John Cutter, aka Wesley Snipes voice, always bet on black. Dizzy Lizzie Gal says, thank you so much for these recaps. They were the highlight of my past few weeks, and it feels great to listen and know I won't hear any book spoilers disguised as predictions. You're welcome. Okay. Other podcasts can't promise y'all that. I will absolutely be back for season 2, and I'm sure even the folks complaining will be back as well. Right. All that caterwauling about the final season of Game of Thrones, and yet the first episode of this show broke records. So Oprah voice, what is the truth?
What is the motherfucking truth? Everybody, it sucked. I'll never do it again.
Love y'all. Thanks for being great. And finally, Green Eye Bandit says, I cannot wait to see the Dance of the Dragons unfold and maybe a battle of the Whisperers. I'm curious what role Larys Toes before Bros Strong will play. That's hilarious. And the war to come. And I hope the White Worm wasn't killed off so easily. Nobody no death. Yeah, I can't imagine she would be dead. That'd be very weird for the show. Like there's some people whose death I'm like probably dead, but then there's people where you like definitely dead, and then she's on the list of I don't think she dead.
I don't think she dead either.
She can't be known for just hiding Aegon's drunk ass in the corner like Denzel in the movie Ricochet. We'll be here for the recaps, and the poll was, will you be back for season 2 House of Dragon? 100% said yes. Wow, 100%.
Everybody coming back.
So glad we did
this. We'll be back too.
And on the Spotify, 100%, 96% said yes, 0% said no. But one person did say I didn't watch season 1, which I forgot to make an option on the website. But y'all get it. And let's check what it says.
And you know what? I didn't watch the entirety of season 1 either, my nigga.
Let's check the comments on YouTube. I'll support a House Valerian. So by default, blacks, Nana Nisi all day. Austin says Damon was pissed because Viserys ain't tell him, but Ray knew. Maybe. I don't know. It was something else about that choke that didn't seem like, how dare you be in the loop. It seemed like he was choking home some like, nigga, you are crazy. You talking about fucking prophecy. I'm talking about we need to go burn these niggas to death with this dragon.
Right. It was we not even talking about the same thing. That's why she was like, he never told you because you didn't know what the hell I'm talking about.
Chocolate Lady Cap says this spades analogy is top level ish. 3 hands up emoji, 3 laughing emojis. Kisha says nobody uses spade analogy better than Rod, especially when it comes to them dragons recaps. Thank you. Keisha says I avoided them dragon spoilers just so I could be fresh for your recap. I'm gonna miss them. 10 episodes went fast. And Harmon says, hey guys, I love your recap. I will be watching The Walking Dead so I can hear you all do the recaps. Oh yeah, we got to get started on that. Saf says I love your recaps and can't wait until the show comes back. The whole episode had me tense. I knew something bad was going to happen, and after Rhaenyra lost her baby, I thought, well, there we go. That's the bad thing, but nope. I do agree that Rhaenys still has anger towards Rhaenyra because she thinks she has something to do with Laenor's death, but she is enjoying watching this woman control all these men. Yes, she is. That's a great point. It was as if she was living through Rhaenyra because that would have been her if she was chosen. I love how they showed Rhaenyra's maturity by how she chose to handle things once she learned her father died and Aegon was crowned as king. The young Rhaenyra would have probably fallen in line with Daemon. I began screaming at the TV the minute Jacaerys said to send he and Luke as the messenger. Seeing the difference between Lucerys Dragon and Aemon's made me think of deep breath and take a deep breath and ask why. I had hope Aemon didn't follow Lucerys, but of course he did. After almost having a heart attack watching the chase sequence, will Lucerys seem to have evaded them and broke through the storm? I was screaming for it to cut to a different scene, a commercial, anything, because I knew what would happen.
This is HBO.
If they didn't, and when it happened, I screamed like it was my baby who got ate. Next season is going to be on, and I have a feeling if Otto is still there, he's not making it back to King's Landing. Rhaenyra might not have wanted to burn down the realm to get the throne, but she will more than happy do it for her children. I really enjoyed the recaps, and y'all might have me trying to catch up with The Walking Dead so I can listen to that too. As always, keep up the good work.
Yeah, and I believe that. And the homosexual gave that speech when he was talking about kids and what you do for your kids.
Yep.
And he didn't get that speech for no reason.
That's a great point.
And because literally both of them are doing some of the shit that they're doing for their children.
Little brother says Karen's impression of Ray having that baby while the men held a meeting is hilarious. Yeah, so good.
That's how it sounded to me.
That exactly is how it sounded. Anyway, great recap. Thanks for reviewing the show. Look forward to season 2 and beyond and hearing the Blackout Test recaps of them. And lastly, Bridget says, thank y'all so much for reviewing House of the Dragon. It was fun being with y'all every week. Thank you, everybody. Love comments.
Thank you.
And lastly, the Q&A was not quite strong enough. June says, nope, not quite strong enough with that little Fisher Price dragon. Rod, you and Karen crack me up. Can't wait for next season. Raphael says, man, I'm still in my feels over little Luke. Rest in peace. That's one wild way to go out. I know I'm a nobody. However, I already awarded y'all the award for recap of the century. You make watching stuff fun. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. We try our best. And I'm like, y'all, I watch the TV. And that dragon got 8. I looked down. I was like, oh no. Poor baby.
Yeah, that's honestly the funnest. That's the hardest part, but that's the most rewarding part is hearing y'all say how much fun the recaps are, because I just think that it's intentional and it's a lot of work that goes into making sure it's fun. And when y'all are having a good time, then that means the work is worth it.
Yes.
Rachel says, I knew sending that motherfucker was a bad idea, but damn, the way I gasped. Yeah, listen, I knew that kid was dead. When he pulled up and seen that big dragon, I said, he's fucking dead. I literally tweeted when Jace had the idea, I tweeted like, that's going to end up making a good hostage situation. They ain't careful. So I knew that little motherfucker was dead. And I still was like, oh, when that dragging Kane from underneath them clouds. I was like, oh my God. The way they just zoomed in on the bite.
Yes.
Chomp. Somebody mark the minute mark for spoilers. Sandy says, if that's the same castle Ray cut up at when she had the suitors, the Baratheons don't owe her a thing. Cue the it is. Wow, that's crazy if it is. Cue the Karen was right song because she said Ray should have made alliances then. She did say.
Mm-hmm.
She did say.
That shit came back to bite her in the ass.
Yeah, and I don't know why y'all keep taking it. Karen doesn't have a Karen was right song. She has Karen be knowing.
Karen be knowing. Karen be knowing.
I was right about something.
I guess it is.
I either way, I'm fine with it.
I know you are. You don't care about anything. But I guess it is. It is fitting because Karen's constantly taking stuff. So y'all take the title to her own song. Lastly, Ignacio says, I mean, damn, that look on Rhaenyra's, I don't know how to spell this shit. You spelled it almost right. Face was that 2:30 in the morning. I'm gonna have to whoop some ass club face. Rod said, we don't want the evil from Ray. Listen, I can't wait to see what she do. Ooh. I can't wait to see.
Cause when I tell you all the love she had disappeared, and there's not gonna be nothing that they could say to her from that moment forward. It's getting ready to be ugly.
Cannot wait. All right, let's get to the voicemails. We have 4 voicemails. Let's see what they talking about. Okay, this person just got out the car apparently. Okay, but now let's go to the next
accident.
One. Yep, little mistake right there. Let's go to the next person. I think it's Allegra.
Hello, you two. It's Allegra.
Oh,
did it stop playing?
It's silent. I guess she got muted. It came back at the end.
Know that I've really been enjoying listening to your reviews, and this season, wowzers! Wow, can't wait till next season. All right, love you guys. Bye.
Yeah, for some reason it's like a minute of silence in there, but I think we picked up what you were putting down. D left a voicemail.
Hey, Rod and Karen. It is Dee from the Bad and Boozy podcast.
Hey, baby.
Just calling with a quick little story. I never called into the show, but I had a listener of the show recognize me at Total Wine, but it was funny because they heard me on my recent appearance, and I was asking them if they needed help, and then they was telling me that they know somebody that works there, and that they do stuff in the classroom and all this other stuff. And then they said, I follow them on Twitter. And they was like, I'm trying to remember her name. And then I started thinking, like, hold on, you might be talking about me. But I let them off and they was like, I'm going to figure out the name. And then it was so funny because I said, I think the person they're talking about is me. When they came back, they said, oh, her name's Deasia. And I said, it's me. And then I was like, oh, how you doing? So pretty cool that somebody heard the episode and stopped by my store to say hello, and I was able to help them somewhat. One of the items they were looking for, we didn't have in stock. But shout out to always having connections through your podcast. Y'all have a good day. Love y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Love you too.
Oh man, that is so dope. We love to see it. We really do. So man. All right, let's go to the last voicemail. We got one more. I think we got it during the show.
Hey, Rod and Karen. Glad you guys love this show. I'm calling because I'm a couple episodes behind right now, but we're talking about but the reason I'm behind is because I had to put it on pause because I was behind on The Walking Dead, and I didn't want to have spoilers for my Walking Dead recaps. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So I'm in February episode 2491, and talking about the Aquafina stuff. And you guys mentioned like a reference to Iggy Azalea, and I don't know if you're aware, and I don't want to be the world actually guy, but that Iggy Azalea line where she says that she's like a runaway slave when it comes to appropriation and stuff like that, that literally is the Kendrick Lamar bar. It's his whole verse of a song.
Mhm.
So if you didn't know that, yeah, it's not that she just said that. She took a whole Kendrick Lamar verse and said it as her own on stage.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, like I said, love you guys, love the show. Hope you have a great weekend. Love you. Bye.
Bye. First of all, thanks. You'll hear this months from now,
Yeah,
apparently.
thank you. You hit this probably
2023.
2023. Yeah.
But yeah, we did know that. I think we talked about it at the time. I just didn't mention it again because but it wasn't just you said like a runaway slave. She pauses for a second and says master. So she's like, she's doing his spiteful chant verse, and then she does the like, so they said I'm a runaway slave, master. It was like, who thought that was a good idea?
Mm-mm.
But that's, you know, to me, like I said, I find that shit more offensive. But at just, you know, once again, same thing. I just never listened to her, so it wasn't like, oh my god. It was like, oh okay, so she's talentless and racist, cool. Or she thought it was funny to play in that lane. And you know, once again, it's more upsetting to me that T.I. and all these people invested in her career and let her kind of cook with that bullshit. All right. Whew, this is a long one. Let's get to the emails and wrap this bad boy up. Okay. Got quite a few emails too. Kanye and Wayne Brady Airport. This is from Andrea, who says, or it could be Andrea, who says, Dear Rod and Karen, I've been listening to your show for a decade now, and after finding you via Walking Dead fandom, you have helped this sometimes clueless white woman understand what I was missing. You make me laugh every week. During 6 years of weekly chemo, you kept me going during recovery. Not to be forgotten how you made me feel sane and informed during the pandemic when much of the world didn't give fucks if my immune compromised ass lived or died. Please forgive me for how damn long this will be. But tonight you gave me such a gift. Before I even started the episode, I was feeling happy knowing my finances mean I can finally go premium and give back in some small way what you're giving me. Aww. And will you make my belly shake, Karen, with the Wayne Brady Airport? But no, that's not the gift. See attached photo of the future Wayne Brady Airport. You are so naturally funny, wise, and gracious. The gift was your rant about Kanye, Rod, and how mental illness is the person's responsibility to take help and treatment. Go to therapy and take the meds if needed. Any abusive or threatening behavior isn't excused when they won't do those things. Not to demonize anyone, but if they refuse help and threaten you, it is not your responsibility to take that at all. Exactly. That's the main thing for me, is like, it does, like, we can debate, like, is this is who he is? At the end of the day, the only real thing we know for sure is dude won't take his meds. And when he don't take his meds, this is what the fuck be happening. So do I feel sorry that this seems to be part of a mental illness that he's afflicted with that he can't control? Of course I feel sorry. My sorry doesn't mean that I want to see him be on the air and we all just go, well, he can't help it. No, you don't platform him. You don't give him money. You don't enable him. You don't insulate him from getting help. We have to put him in a position where he has to get help. That's it. You know what I mean? So to me, it seemed like all the debating him and Holland is kind of beside the point. You know, I don't agree with a lot of people on like how mental illness has to be. I think it can be manifest a bunch of different ways, and we don't want to have that discussion, and that's fine. The real discussion is, how do we keep this dude off the air? You know?
Yeah.
Like unfortunately, his words have a lot of impact. And we've seen what happens when you just let shit go unchecked all the time. So anyway, so 3 days, she said, 3 days ago, a young man who stayed with me for a few months had a psychotic break. I'm heartbroken about it because he has many amazing kind and gentle qualities. He had an episode before and said some really scary things, which I told him at the time meant he must get treatment or we couldn't have him here.
Right.
Well, he didn't do it. Then he started self-medication with dabs, psychedelics, and alcohol. I'm not anti-cannabis and I use edibles as medicine, but the wax seems to really mess up people's lives. It's either jail or a 72-hour hold. You can imagine that fed to psychosis. And he ran outside Wednesday, smashed his phone, took off on foot. I was afraid for our lives, my son and I. When he returned, he had jumped in the freezing Colorado River to kill himself. I was afraid to let him in. I didn't know he was soaked. But I called the sheriff after the boy's request. They came out and had him taken into an ambulance. He barely knew his own name. I've been agonizing about having to put him out. He does have other places to go, but this kid is a son to me. He's 24 and I'm 53. My son is 18, has panic disorder, anxiety, and PTSD from abuse with his dad. I have PTSD too. We're both back to flinching at every car outside or knock on the door. We can't be stable either if he's here. When you said that getting treatment, etc., is on them, it helped me realize I can't force my household to live in fear because he has refused treatment.
Right.
It's not anything close to reasonable expectation. Thanks you for saying that. Vote blue because we know who will care about mental health, and it's not the feds. Thank you, Andrea.
Agreed.
Yeah, and she included this picture that is so funny. Let me show y'all this picture. It's a Wayne Brady Airport mock-up. Mm-hmm. Welcome to Wayne Brady Airport. There's Wayne Brady standing in the airport greeting you. But yeah, very sorry to hear about that. Mm-hmm. But I'm with you. I just don't think and this is why I say it's sad. I don't like the anger and stuff. Sad. I get that anger, and I think a lot of people have anger because that's how they draw boundaries. And without the anger, they would have weak boundaries and they would let people violate them. And so that's why people are that way with Kanye West. And I get it. You know, I totally get it. The stuff you said is anger inducing. But I think my boundaries are not grown. Most of my boundaries are not drawn with anger. Mm-mm. There's actually almost no emotion in my boundaries because I'm an emotional person. I have to take the emotion out to then draw my boundary and say, boom, I no longer am letting my empathy give you a toehold into my life. That being said, when my boundaries are challenged, sometimes I can get angry because then it's like, okay, I was very reasonable and then you just kept pushing. That being said, like, I think it's sad because it's like you didn't take care of your mental health and your mental health is going to take care of you, quote unquote. And that's not a rational thing to do, to go jump in the river, to destroy your phone. But it's not, you can't fix that. We read stories on here all the time where somebody is sad because it's like, this man killed his mom. He had a schizophrenic episode, took a sword and killed her.
Off the
oh shit.
Screen.
Yeah, my screen just died. My computer just went black.
Oh shit.
Oh man. Hold on. Huh. What is happening?
I don't know. Hold on.
It's like the whole computer Okay, give me 1 second, everybody. I have to make sure I recover this audio. Check project file inconsistencies. Okay, let's see if we go. Okay, let's see what we was listening to. And killed his mom. Yeah. All right, it's close enough. All right, here we go, guys. All right, so those listening later don't notice. Those listening live had a little technical difficulties. My brand new MacBook just died on me, and this just recently came back as goddamn Apple product. Give them one chance.
It was not a MacBook.
Karen, don't tell the people.
Oh, I'm
my
sorry.
God.
I'm sorry. I'm ruining the joke. My bad.
Anyway,
I'm a joke killer.
but yeah, just it's tragic, is what I was trying to say. I can't remember everything I was saying, but it's tragic more than it's like anger inducing and stuff. And I think, I'm sorry to hear you had that situation.
Right.
Danielle says, late House of the Dead recap, Tony fans. I'm weak. Oh my God, I had to stop driving. I finally parked and almost got down on the bare, wet puddle ground, dying in laughter. It was raining. Hey guys, all the recaps are excellent, but this one, my stomach was hurting. I'm now writing this at work, awaiting a patient, and I still feel residual weakness. I'm going to have to listen again. And then she included this meme from LeBron. I think looking at Steph Curry get the trophy for the MVP and getting his ring. And it says Amon watching Aegon being crowned. That's hilarious.
That was his look, wasn't it? He
That's
was
hilarious.
not pleased.
Should have photoshopped the eye patch on the LeBron. That's some silver hair.
Yes.
But yeah, definitely hear you on that. Let's go to the next one. Allison says, alarming ad. Hey, Rod and Karen. I love y'all dearly, and I'm a longtime fan of the show. Of course, I've written multiple 5-star reviews, Karen. Monthly donator as well as a premium subscriber. I say all that to be clear that I love what y'all do, and I know y'all are protective of your brand for good reason. It means a lot to all of us. As I was being dressed for work this morning, I was listening to episode 2623, and I almost choked on my Listerine when I heard this political ad for Greg Abbott in the voice that sounded like a black woman, talking about how Beto O'Rourke just wants to let criminals like the ones who murdered her son back on the streets because he supports easy bail. It came right before fucking with black people. Needless to say, Jacars.
So you was fucked with. I know, right?
I know Rod is just marking the times for the company y'all are partnering with to insert the ads. Yes, it's Anchor that inserts the ads. Mm-hmm. But I wanted to let you know this is what they decided. My demographics, being a black woman in Texas, suggests I need to have push my way. Hope this is helpful information that there's something y'all can do about it. It doesn't fuck up y'all's ad bag. All the best. I mean, technically, there's nothing we can do about it other than I think we can tell them no political ads, but I don't think we can say like these politics and stuff. Right. Obviously, this is the real sad part. Obviously, it's tailored to what you listen to and where you located.
So
for some reason, they thought you was a coon, Allison. I'm just saying. I'm not calling you a coon. Anchor and Spotify, though,
like Texas in this zip code,
they tried to do a little coon checkup on you. Okay.
But apparently you passed a test and you was like, nope, what the hell is this?
I don't appreciate it either. And I think it's whack. And if I could just like blank out only Republican ads, I would, But yeah, I listen, I get it.
It's upsetting me and my homegirl.
Okay,
Come on, upsetting both of us, honey.
It ain't right.
And my homegirl.
We don't like that around here.
We don't like that shit. We don't like it.
John says, good morning, Rod and Karen. Just wanted to belatedly chime in on the great Celsius Fahrenheit war. Why is nobody even mentioning Kelvin? It's the most scientific of all. I wonder if it's because it has a black sounding name. That makes sense. Kelvin, yeah. Kelvin degrees is like absolute zero or something. Seriously, though, we need a compromise between Celsius and Fahrenheit. For Celsius, 0 degrees being the freezing point for water is perfect. All good on that end, but at higher temperatures, Fahrenheit seems better. We all know there's a huge difference on a day between 80, 90, 100, or 110 degrees. In Celsius, that would be 26, 32, 37, and 43 degrees. It's only a difference of 20 degrees for what we all know feels like a major 40-degree difference. I don't know what the solution is, but I'm glad you're pushing back on the pressures from Big Celsius. That's right, buddy. They're not going to get me.
Celsius.
That interview with Professor Woolfolk last week was so Good. Her experience with white fragility at the retreat regarding Charlottesville is such an example of whiteness in a nutshell. It illustrates one of the reasons it's so hard for meaningful conversations about race to happen in white spaces. Even if you want to have those conversations, as I often do, most spaces simply won't have it. Racism and white supremacy is like Fight Club. The first rule of white people is we never talk about it. And it's an expectation that gets enforced from pretty much everywhere. Your
Right.
family, your friends, the media, school, clubs, etc. It's an unwritten rule, but it's everywhere. On the flip side, as you mentioned in the discussion about Kanye, we're also told to stay in our lane for any conversation involving people of color. It creates a weird question of what exactly allies, for lack of a better term, are supposed to do, and it gets even more complicated when anti-Semitism enters the picture.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And everybody talk about this, I can understand because it's a mixed messaging, because truth be told, it's not a monolith, and all of it varies depending on the person that you talk to.
Yeah, it's very complicated, and the rules vary, and there's different type of black people who use the shut the fuck up rule.
Right.
That's the thing that gets missing, and why I don't want to really hear the like, oh, so white people decide to do something. It's like, yes, but one of the reasons they weren't doing shit is because there were some black people that were still willing to use that same cudgel of stay out of my business for bad black people. You know, it's like, y'all know I love Jamel Hill. Go get a book, Uphill.
It's good.
Karen's got it on audio already.
It's real good.
So, but I remember one time I was part of the people. I made a joke about Candace Owens' hair. I was like, why is it motherfuckers with like the driest edges that's always like so full of anti-blackness? And I mused that it was because black women ain't letting them come to the fucking salon with knowing they about to leave there and tell everybody that George Floyd deserved to die. And I don't blame them. And that's why black women vote 90% Democrat, right? Anyway, Jamel was like, you know, we can't be talking bad about black women's hair. Is a sensitive topic for a lot of black women, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, yeah, I guess I'm gonna just have to not be that woke for this one, you know. But the point being, there's gonna be some people who are like, y'all are talking bad about Candace Owens' hair, and Jamel Hill said not to. And it's like, yeah, she's black and she said not to, and I'm black and I'm finna fry her motherfucking edges like they got fried by herself when she put that Perk Plus in them. Like, cause she a bad person and I can't help myself. I'm gonna do it. I'm willing to be the bad guy and get judged, you know? So anyway, that's what happened with Kanye. A lot of black people was like, don't you talk about this black man. So white people was like, okay, I guess I can't say shit, you know? And they still trying to float that out there, by the way. I still see people using it. Anyway, all I know is as a real ally who supports black women, I'm going to volunteer for Tigress Sydney Acute McDaniel's campaign. Oh, that's a deep cut. Y'all got to either listen to pregame or you got to go listen to the first behind the paywall episode of Three Guys On from last week. I introduced them to this alleged scammer who's running for like water conservation in our state, in our city.
Shout out. She filling in Smuggy shoes.
Finally got to episode 6 of Dahmer and Dan. Rodney Buford deserves all the Emmys for that performance. It's Tony Hughes. It's unfortunate that his mom is one of the people who takes the objection to the series and portrayal, because to me it was such a beautiful and heartfelt tribute to him and made him out to be just a lovely person. P.S. As an Italian American, it is absolutely fair for you to assume that all pizzeria owners are racist until proven otherwise. Cheers and stay safe, John. Yeah, I only believe it if it's good. If the pizza was whack, I'll be like, oh, they not racist. Preston says, I finally, homeliest little horse, I finally reconnected to Atlanta and watched episode 2. Wow. Great recap. Now I need to binge to catch up to you and Bossy. I missed you too, Preston. Thanks, Preston.
Oh.
LaShonda says, after voting, about voting in other capitalist countries where it seems to work, other capitalist countries that are working tend to lean towards being homogenous. Our capitalism was built on criminality and brutality, which doomed it from the start. That said, I voted in every election since I was 18, national and local, and will continue to do so until the system is reformed. Yeah, absolutely. That's the thing I keep saying. A lot of the theoretical, hypothetical stuff that I agree with would be better is always couched under this idea that racism somehow takes care of itself under the system, and that white people understand and educate themselves and behave better. And no, it's not going to happen. So I'm not dreaming that far yet. I hope that those dreamers are right and I'm the one who's wrong and they drag me and I go, oh, you know what? They drug the world to this point and I can look and go, I don't mean drag me like drag me on Twitter. I mean, they drag the conversation so far to that direction. We're like, oh yes, white people ain't racist no more. We can finally have socialism, but I don't see it happening in my lifetime.
Not in my lifetime.
So until then, I'm gonna be hoping that Rihanna takes some of her Fenty money and gives it to black people to start businesses.
Let's
Because
go.
that's about all we gonna get.
I'll
I
take
feel
that.
y'all right. Theoretically, socialism, this, that, and the other. Until then, I hope Pharrell keeps paying for motherfucking scholarships.
Come on.
About House of the Dead, I get to sing Shonda was right. Shonda was right. I said last week when folks were fussing and cussing about Rhaenys not lighting up the greens that it wasn't her war to start and it would look like she was trying to also usurp. I'm so glad she said it this week. Yeah. I really like that more than that motherhood shit they put in them articles. That was whack. Damon grabbing up Rhaenyra, I think it's because in that moment he realized his brother never had intention of allowing him to be the true heir because he hadn't told him the vision. It was the last turn of the knife in their fractured relationship. Damon seemed to only want Viserys to trust in him, and this showed he never did. Yeah, I don't know. I just didn't pick it. I didn't register it that way, but I could be wrong. It felt like something different to me. But maybe we'll see in another conversation. Side note about Damon crowning Rhaenyra. I love the parallel between Matt Smith's character's reaction towards bending the knee for a queen in this show and Matt Smith's character in The Crown, Prince Philip, who fought her to the end, not to have to bend the knee to a queen. That is growth. Never watched The Crown. Last thing, them lighting up the painted table in this show is versus how Stannis was using it. And Game of Thrones, the ultimate visual of how boomers use technology versus Gen Z use technology. Anywho,
it was beautiful lit up too.
Love the recast. Anyways, love the show. And always love the show. Stay warm and safe. Love you guys. Shonda. P.S. Vagar was written by Aegon, the Conqueror's sister wife. So she's seen battle. All right. Brian says, hello, House Jackson. Just wanted to say thank you for taking the time out to do the House of the Dragon recaps every week. They were fantastic. 10 out of 10, no notes. I guess I would have enjoyed the show without your recast, but glad I didn't have to find out. Thanks for all your work. You truly appreciate it. Thank you. Andre says, Rod and Karen, thank you for your reviews of House of the Dragon and all the other shows with your comedy, wit, and heart. I would like to ask you a question about from a writer's perspective. One of the things you said about the crab feeder was that he never said anything or wasn't about anything. Do you feel the portrayal of the Night King was similar? The show put way more information about the Night King than the books, so I'm curious as to why do you think the show did not give a voiceover or narration in his own words? This isn't a request to be the official explainer, more just to know your opinion on how the Night King worked as a major antagonist and the crab feeder was obviously not to be concerned about. Thanks for all your time. Excellent show. Peace, Dre. So from a writing perspective, they introduced the character so early. He had no speaking lines, and we didn't even truly know his cause or what his effect was on his people that supported him. He felt like a tomato can to me. That's a boxing term for just fighters that are just put on the schedule to get knocked the fuck out.
Oh, okay.
So he felt like a tomato can to me.
Somebody just to get beat up. That's basically what it is, right?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. He felt like a tomato can to me, and I thought and because they were doing so deeply into the motivations and machinations of the other characters, and especially Rhaenyra, it just felt like they didn't have time to make him this be all end all. Now, and then also the way they wrote it, to me, it was like, if they don't kill this dude right away, then he'll be a big bad. So if he killed Damon or something, then I'd be like, oh, maybe he is a more interesting character. But to me, it just felt like a vehicle to be like, here's another reason that they don't get along, the way they handled this guy. Meanwhile, with the Night King, it was the fact that they introduced the mythology and stuff in episode 1, season 1. With that giant running through the woods and kill the not giant, but the frozen, ice motherfucker killing motherfuckers in the woods. And so it felt like they had more of a build up. I still found him to be a silent antagonist. He never spoke. but his actions and words were so powerful.
Yeah, I also not to jump in, but with the Ice King, when they motherfucking went there and he did the all rise up, and then all the motherfuckers got up, I was like, oh, this is going to be a problem.
Mhm.
And he's somebody that didn't say anything, but you're like, oh, he's gonna be a problem, and y'all will see him again. Like this is not the last time you're going to see this particular person, and when you do, it's going to be epic.
Yeah, so I think that's what that's how I took it. But obviously I mean, I was right. So it's easy for me to say. Christoph writes in, man, love your recaps for The Walking Dead to Atlanta. This is too much. This too much. I love y'all recap so much that I wish y'all recap every show I watch, especially Handmaid's Tale. I love to hear y'all speak on the Gilead because, in my opinion, minus all the raping, Gilead didn't seem that bad. I probably shouldn't put this in writing. Y'all the best, Christoph. One, I've never seen the Handmaid's Tale. Just hasn't. It wasn't the thing I was interested at the time. I'm sure it's good. Two, yeah, you never want to write besides all the raping. Just never want to put that in print anywhere.
I was like, oops, my bad.
Yeah, it's just not gonna. It's not gonna turn out good.
Maybe
for
I
you.
shouldn't put this in writing.
Yeah,
that's hilarious.
Very rarely do you get a good. Besides all the raping, that people go, you know what? You're right. So I wouldn't have done that. All right, that's it. We had one comment on Podbean. I can't find it, and we also have our food at the door. So
and somebody sent a mask too. We don't know who sent it, but thank you.
Yeah, thank you. All right, y'all. That's it. It's late. We gotta go, and Karen gotta go grab the food from the door. So until next time, I love you.
I love you too.
Mwah. Bye, everybody. Have a good one. Thanks for working through technical difficulties with us.